A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Kroger Tender-Ray Beef, no other beef so fresh can be so tender, presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. It'll be a happy day, yes, a very happy day, when you can again buy all the Kroger Tender-Ray Beef you want. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. But every day can be a glad day if you treat your family to delicious Kroger's selected seafood. There's a plentiful supply, and it's yours at a money-saving price. You'll whistle is fresh and firm-fleshed and delicious, and with that wonderful fresh-caught flavor, because Kroger's selected seafood is rushed to your neighborhood Kroger store by Kroger's own special rush delivery system. Then, after delivery, that fine flavor is protected until the moment you buy through precision refrigeration. And you've got a one, too. Freshwater and saltwater fish. Fish for baking, for frying, for broiling, and fish for chowder. In short, everything you need for an exciting seafood dinner, one that's tops with the folks at home, is waiting for you at your Kroger store. So drop around and ask for Kroger's selected seafoods. And don't forget, your neighborhood Kroger store is the only place where you can buy Kroger selected seafoods. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Bill Carver has at last revealed himself to Penny for what he is, a gangster. But he still will not say why he and Jerry Manson are holding Penny in a house on the riverfront, or what they intend to do with her. It is the second day since Penny's disappearance, and Suzanne, Penny's sister-in-law, says to Freddie Lang,
Freddie, I don't know what to do. It's just too much for my nerves.
Yeah, I know how you feel, Mrs. G. I sort of got the jumps myself.
It's been so long now.
Yeah, and it might even be longer, too. Hey, look, why don't you throw the carcass on the couch over there and try to relax, huh? I'll use a little of my genius and sort of take the sting out of those nerves.
I don't think I can lie down, Freddie. I don't have the patience.
Oh, go ahead, Mrs. G. You know, stamping up and down the floor and twisting your hands like they was old rags, that ain't going to do you no good at all.
No, I suppose not.
That's right. Go on, relax.
All right, Freddie, I'll try.
There. Now, you see, ain't that better?
Yes, I suppose it is.
Now, you just concentrate, and I'll play you some piano like you never heard before.
Oh, Freddie, no, I'm too nervous to listen now.
Hey, look, if you was dying, why does it even be worth listening to? So you just sit and listen. Here goes. Wasn't that great, huh?
Yes, Freddie, it was lovely.
Meaning you want an encore?
Oh, no. No, there's just too much on my mind.
Oh, well, maybe a little more genius on the piano here will take some of that stuff off of your mind.
No, Freddie, it's no use. I'm going insane.
Yeah? Well, listen, if you think this is tough on you, you just think of how tough it must be for Gibbsy.
Penny?
Yeah.
Well, I was not talking about Penny.
You wasn't?
I'm upset about her, yes, terribly upset, but, Freddie, you don't know how terrible things are for me. You just don't know.
Well, I don't see what you got to squawk about, Suzanne. Nobody's hurting you.
Oh, Freddie, what do you do with your eyes?
I see out of them.
But you don't see very well. You'd see how tortured I am.
Yeah? Well, look, who's putting the heat on you?
The heat on me?
Yeah, you know, who's giving you the hard time? Who makes it tough for you?
Who do you suppose? It's Pat.
You mean Mr. G? Oh, now, Mrs. G, you must be off your nut or something. And besides, I ain't interested in hearing you pop up your mouth about your own gripes when you ought to be worried about the jam that Gibbsy's in.
Freddie Lang, how dare you talk to me like that?
Yes, and maybe you need a little more talking like that, too, Mrs. G. Maybe it'd snap you into thinking about somebody else besides yourself.
I have to think of myself in this house. No one else does. Everyone else is against me.
Everybody's against you? Well, now I've heard everything, so I don't have to stand here and listen to no more of it.
Freddie, where are you going?
I don't know. Maybe out to the bottom of the river and talk to the fish a little while. At least they'll make me some sense.
You're against me, too.
Yes, I sure am, Mrs. G. Look, when Kidsy's in a jam maybe she can't get out of, and all you do is worry about yourself.
Freddie Lang, if you go out that door, you're not coming back in this house again.
No? Listen, who do you think you're talking to anyway? Your husband?
Oh, everyone hates me. Everyone.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill, open up, will you? Hey, Bill. Bill Carver. Uh-huh. There is somebody here. Door's getting unlocked. Well, well. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Freddie. Come in.
Is it okay?
Sure.
Well, thanks.
Why wouldn't it be okay?
Huh?
You heard me. I said, why wouldn't it be okay?
Well, I didn't know. I thought that... Well, I mean, you and that Manson dame, you... Well, didn't you...
Didn't we what?
Hey, look, you mean you and the Manson dame didn't grab Gibbsy?
Now, what makes you think we did?
Well, I just thought that... Well, after all, you said...
I said what?
Well, you said you was going to make it tough for her because I knocked you out that time we was going to rob the store. I thought grabbing her is what you meant.
Pretty smart, ain't you?
No.
Well, I think you are, kid. I want to congratulate you for doing what you was told.
What do you mean?
I mean, you didn't crack once to the Gibbs gal that Jerry and I was going to grab her, did you?
No, of course I didn't say nothing about that. Hey, Bill, you do have her.
I sure do.
Well, now, looky here, Bill. You got to let that...
No use looking around here, Freddie. She ain't here. You'll never guess where she is.
Look, you ain't hurt her, have you?
No, I'm leaving the hurting part up to Jerry.
You mean that Manson dame's got her?
Jerry watches her nights, I watch her days. She needs a lot of watching, that Gibbs dame. She still sort of wants to go back home.
Where you keeping her?
Oh, Freddie. I ain't telling you that.
Look, I kept my mouth shut to Gibbsy about what you was going to do to
her.
her.
No, you didn't. You didn't know what I was going to do.
All right, so I didn't know. But I knew that you was going to do something to her. I kept my mouth shut about that, didn't I?
Yeah, and it's a good thing for your pal Gibbs that you did.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I didn't let out even a little bit of a yip. So come on, Bill. Where you got her, huh? I ain't going to tell nobody.
I ain't trusting you with knowing anything like that. Might spoil a couple of plans.
What plans?
Plans me and Jerry got for the Gibbs dame. You see, Freddie, kidnapping ain't what it used to be. The cops can make it fatal for a guy caught kidnapping these days, so we figured we might as well go all the way with Gibbsy, as you call her, because we can't get no worse doing that than what we'll get if we're caught for what we already done.
Hey, Bill, you ain't going to kill her, are you?
Well, that's the general idea.
Oh, no, Bill, you can't do that.
Why can't we?
Because she ain't done nothing to you.
No, she ain't done enough to me, so I want to kill her, but... Jerry don't like Penny for a couple of things that happened a while ago, and Jerry says we kill her.
Well, what do you care what she says?
I care a lot what Jerry says. sort of go for her. She's got class. I think she likes me. Yeah, she likes me plenty, and I figure if I do something for her, maybe she'll do something for me.
Yeah, but holy mackerel, Bill, look, killing somebody just to do somebody else a favor.
It ain't just doing a favor, kid. It's a chance for me to get Jerry right where I want her. I said the dame has class. Sure she has. Too much to look at a guy like me. But if I got something on her, well...
Yeah, but at the same time, she's going to have something on you.
Yeah, and I know how to handle people who have something on me. Jerry, she'd get scared if I threw a murder rap to her. Then I'd have her, class and all.
Bill, you must be nuts or something. Look, you don't kill anybody for things like that.
Look, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. I don't have to tell you everything, do I?
No, I guess not. Just tell me where you're keeping Gibbsy, that's all.
Go on, kid. Beat it before I get sore at you again.
I think I know where you're keeping her.
Do you?
Yeah. You're keeping her in that little yellow house up the river there. You know, the yellow job with the busted-down roof.
Oh. Is that so?
Yeah. And don't say it ain't so either, Bill. Because I can tell by the look on your face that that's just where you're keeping her.
How do you know?
I know how you work.
Well, let me tell you something, kid. I ain't saying that's where I got your girlfriend. But I'll tell you this much. If I see you or anybody else up at that house snooping around or snooping around any other place I might be keeping her...
Yeah?
Your pal Gibbsy gets killed, see? And quick.
What are you looking at, Penny? Dear?
Is that moonlight shining through the ceiling?
Sure is. Roof needs fixing. But don't worry. If it rains, I'll take you into the other room.
That's nice of you.
I'm devoting my life to being nice to you.
You're doing a nice job of it. Look, how much longer are you going to keep this up?
Till Bill decides it's time.
And when will it be time?
When the police stop looking for you in Rossville and decide that you're in some other town.
And then?
And then we're going for a drive in Bill's car again.
I'm not going home, of course.
That is right.
You're waiting for me to be frightened, aren't you, Jerry?
I think you're a little frightened already. Or are you as inhuman as I always thought?
If either one of us is inhuman, Jerry, you are.
I only do inhuman things. You're the one who's never been a human being. You took Steve away from me just to take him away from me. You didn't really want him. You just enjoyed the conquest.
Oh, you silly little
Now,
girl.
don't start calling me names, Penny, my pet. I don't want to lose my temper and spoil the lovely ending that Bill and I have planned for you.
So Bill Carver and Jerry Manson plan to kill Penny. Are they really serious about this? And does Freddie realize he's guessed where Penny is being kept? Will he do something about it? Or will he be afraid anything he does will only mean the end for Penny? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. We know that you'd like to place Kroger Tenderay beef on your next Kroger marketing list. However, there's not much chance of getting those famous steaks and roast right now. But do be sure to add this outstanding Kroger value, Kroger cheese. This week is Cheese Week at Kroger's, for the folks who serve you at Kroger's want you to discover what an added zest that flavorful cheese will give to your meals, to salads and sandwiches. And for a dessert combination that's tops, plan to serve cheese and fruit. Plan now to treat your family to a colorful tray of cheese and fruit. Fresh fruit is plentiful and in wide variety, and your Kroger store offers you a tempting selection of delicious cheese from which to choose. So select your favorite cheese and fruit soon at your Kroger store.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a homicide detail. You go to an apartment house and answer to a shooting and dead body call. Her husband tells you it's suicide. The facts show it to be murder. Your job? Find out. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, March 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Freddie. It was 4:35 p.m. when we got to the first floor of the Kelsey Apartment Hotel. Apartment 112.
Hi, Joe. Ben.
Hi, Harry. How are you? What have you got here?
A woman's dead, shot through the right temple with a .45 automatic. Husband claims it's suicide.
What's the name?
Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Robertson. Wife's name was Marie. That's Mr. Robertson right over here.
Has the crime lab been called?
About 2 minutes ago. Fine. Mr. Robertson, this is Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do? How are you? Have you questioned Mr. Robertson?
No, not yet.
Mr. Robertson, do you want to tell us what happened here?
I'd just gotten back from the corner grocery store. My wife and I had a little argument going. It started before I left for the store, and it was still on when I got back.
I see.
She was fixing chicken fried steaks for dinner, putting the flour on them. We had a few more words, and I went over and sat on the Davenport right where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
She was standing there in the doorway to the kitchen. She said something that set me off, and I guess I got pretty mad and said a few things. Then she went back over to that little nightstand there by the door to the kitchen.
That one right there?
Yeah, that's it. That's where I keep my Army automatic. She pulled it out of the drawer and backed up into the kitchen. She put the gun to her head and said, "This'll put an end to the argument once and for all." I yelled at her and tried to stop her, but I was too late. She pulled the trigger and fell right there where she is.
What'd you do then?
I went upstairs to Ted Carlton's place. He lives in 212 right above us. We don't have a phone here. I asked him to call the police and send for an ambulance.
Did you go over to see how badly your wife was shot?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. The minute she fired, I rushed right over to her, but I was too late. She was dead.
Now, did you touch anything in here, move anything at all?
No, sir, not a thing. I've been sitting here ever since I got back down from Ted's room upstairs.
I see.
Joe?
Yeah?
Empty cartridge casing here on the floor.
Yeah. When Jones gets here, we'll measure the distance. Just a minute. We can put this saucer over till the crime lab gets here.
All right.
Riley. All right. Crime lab's here, Friday. Need Jones.
Oh, hi, Lee.
Hello, Joe. Ben?
Hi, Lee.
Fremont, would you mind taking Mr. Robertson downtown? We'll be right down as soon as we finish up here.
Right, Joe. See you later.
Thanks a lot, Harry.
Let's go. What do we got here?
Shot through the right temple. Husband claimed suicide.
Mm-hmm. What's under the saucer?
Empty casing.
Looks like she was flouring meat, huh?
That's what the husband says, yeah.
It's probably what that is in the barrel of the automatic there.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Wastebasket's sure full, isn't it?
Yeah?
Right tempo, huh? 45 automatic.
Yeah.
If she shot herself in the kitchen, how do you figure the empty casing got out there in the living room? Position of the body doesn't warrant that. That'll be Ed McGill, the photographer.
Come in.
Friday. Oh, in?
How are you, Ed?
Well, what you want to shoot?
Why don't you get an overall of the room first and grab one in the kitchen there?
All right.
Wait till I get that saucer off the casing, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Mary, you want to move over there, love?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. All right. Now, you want the kitchen?
Right from where you are now is good. We can get out of your way here.
Okay, this is fine. Mm-hmm.
Now, right over the body. Better get that chair to stand up.
Oh, yeah, here you are. Not much room to work in here.
Can you get it all in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Use the wastebasket as your outside line here and kitchen sink on the other side.
Can't get the sink in. Will you settle for the wastebasket only?
Fine. Just use that as your right-hand sideline, huh?
All right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So while you fellas finish up in here, we're going to run upstairs and get ready.
Okay, Joe.
Come on, Ben.
Where do you want to go first? 212?
Well, that's this Ted Carlton Robertson mentioned in it.
Yeah, the fellow who's supposed to have called in for him.
All right, yeah. Here it is, right at the head of the stairs.
Yes?
Police officers. You're Mr. Carlton?
Yes, that's right. Come in.
Thank you very much.
This is an awful thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We understand that you're a friend of the Robertsons.
Yes, I am. Have you found out anything yet? You think Andy killed her?
We don't know. We haven't completed our investigation.
Oh, I see. I'll bet that's the way it was. I hate to say that, but from all indications, it certainly looks that way.
Mm-hmm. How do you mean?
The argument, the shouting, then that single shot. I don't know, but it sure struck me that Andy did it.
When did the argument start? Was it prolonged, do you know?
What do you mean?
When did it start? What time, you know?
This one today started about 3:30 when Andy got back from the store, but they've been arguing ever since I've known them.
And how long have you known them?
About 2 years. Those two never should have gotten married to begin with, if I'm any judge.
Are you married?
No, sir, I'm not.
I wonder if you could tell us. Did Mrs. Robertson ever say anything that would lead you to believe that she was in fear of her life?
Well, yes, she did. One time Andy stalked out of the apartment down there, and Marie came up here to see me. She was in tears, all broken up about it, as usual during these spats.
Oh, I see.
She said, I'll try to remember exactly how she put it. She said, Andy gets so mad sometimes I think he's going to kill me.
What did they usually argue about, do you know?
Oh, different things. This particular time that I was telling you about, I think it was over his being late for dinner.
Oh, I see.
Now, aside from this one instance, is there anything else that you can tell us?
Well, Andy has a terrible temper, that I know. We used to go out and bowl once in a while, Marie, Andy, and myself. We had to stop. Every time he'd miss a spare, you'd think it was the end of the world.
Would he usually seem to take it out on his wife?
Most of the time, yeah. Although I must say I caught it a few times myself. Abusive language. She really carried on over nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Did Robertson leave his wife home alone much of the time?
No, not any more than usual. Seems like he always wanted to get home just so they could argue. Everybody in the apartment house knows about him.
But you said that Mrs. Robertson came up here after that one particular argument, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, did she come up here often?
No, not very often. Just when she was unusually upset and her nerves were on edge. But only then when Andy would rush out mad.
Well, do you know whether or not Robertson owns a gun?
Yes, I believe he does. Matter of fact, I know he does. One night we were having trouble with prowlers, and he came up here with his automatic.
I see.
Later on, I think I asked him where he got the gun. He said from the Army.
Is there anything else you can add, Mr. Gordon?
I was the one who called the police. You knew that.
That's what we understand.
Didn't Andy tell you? He came up here right after the shot and asked me to call the police for him. They don't have a phone.
Well, exactly how did he tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what were his exact words? Can you remember them?
Well, he said, my wife's shot. Call the police and get an ambulance quick.
And what was your reaction to this?
I'd heard the shot, so I wasn't too surprised. But when Andy came running up here, I knew before he said a word. You could tell just to look at him.
You could tell what?
Something was wrong. I had a hunch all along that this might happen someday.
What's that?
That Andy had killed his wife.
Ben and I continued questioning the various neighbors in the apartment building. Their stories all matched in every detail. The Robertsons had been known to argue, quite frequently and quite loud. None of the neighbors could definitely say that they had ever heard Andrew Robertson threaten his wife. All of them volunteered it would be entirely possible. We put in a call to R&I. We found that there was no previous record on Andrew Robertson nor his wife, Marie. Before Lee Jones had finished his investigation, latent fingerprint men had arrived, and the men from the coroner's office were standing by for removal of the body. We canvassed the neighborhood and checked with the various merchants in the area. They could shed no further light on the death of Marie Robertson. The coroner removed the body from apartment 112, and Lee Jones continued with his investigation. Ben and I returned downtown for further interrogation of the suspect.
Everything I've told you is the truth.
Would you mind going over it just once more?
All right. We had our quarrels and arguments, and I guess some of them were pretty bad, but I'd never do a thing like this to Marie.
Well, you don't seem very upset about all this, Robertson.
I'm not crying, if that's what you mean. I'm sorry she had to do it. Tried to stop her, but there was nothing I could do.
Well, you seem to be taking all this pretty well under the circumstances.
I don't know if I can explain how I feel about it. You see, Marie and I weren't too happy the past couple of years. We've been married 8 years, and I guess from the start we never could hit it off.
Did you used to argue quite a bit?
No, not at first we didn't. It just seemed that we've drifted apart the last couple of years. We seemed to fight all the time over nothing at all. I honestly believe we fell out of love.
Well, would you mind telling us again exactly what happened this afternoon?
First of all, I got up. I always liked to sleep on Sundays. She asked me to go to the store. That started the argument. She knows I don't like to go shopping, but it seemed like she was always forgetting something, and I'd have to go.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back from the store, she was making chicken fried steaks for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
She was putting flour on the meat. We argued back and forth for a minute, and then she stepped into the living room. I went over and sat on the Davenport.
All right, go on.
We had a few more words, and she went over to the small nightstand by the kitchen door and took out my Army automatic that I kept in there. She backed up into the kitchen and pointed the gun at her head.
Here.
She said this will end the argument once and for all. As I said, I was on the Davenport about 12 feet away from her. I yelled at her.
What'd you say?
I said, Marie, put that gun down. It's loaded. Before I could reach her, she pulled the trigger.
Then what'd you do?
I rushed over to her, but it was too late. She was dead.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
We don't have a phone, so I rushed upstairs to the apartment right over us, Ted Carlton's. I asked him to phone for the police and the ambulance.
Did you tell Carlton about your wife?
Yes, I did. I told him she'd been shot.
Then where'd you go?
So, just like I told you, out of the apartment, I went back downstairs and waited in the living room for you people to get there.
Did you go near your wife's body?
No, I did not.
Did you always keep that gun loaded?
Yes, I did. I always kept it loaded and actuated. The shell in the chamber, but I kept the safety lock on. Marie knew how to operate the gun because I showed her for when I was out late.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't strong enough to actuate it, but she could work the safety.
Did your wife ever try to commit suicide before?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Robertson, you sure that everything you've told us is the truth?
It's the absolute truth, every word of it.
Well, sir, here's the way it looks to us. We think you killed your wife.
I didn't.
Let us lay out a few things for you. We talked to your friends and neighbors in the apartment house. We have people who will testify to the fact that your wife was afraid that you might kill her. She told one man that.
It isn't true. I don't know what she may have told somebody, but I didn't kill her.
It's a known fact throughout the entire apartment building that you and your wife had violent quarrels. The kind of arguments, from all reports, that could easily lead to something like this.
I told you we argued, but I didn't kill Marie. I couldn't do a thing like that.
Mr. Robertson, we've made a preliminary investigation of your apartment. You say your wife killed herself. Let me show you some of the flaws in your story here.
All I can say is what I've told you is the truth. I didn't kill her.
Now, you told us that your wife went to the nightstand and got the gun.
That's right.
How did she pick up the automatic?
How do you mean?
Well, how'd she take it from the drawer?
Like anyone would pick up a gun? By the butt? She picked it up like anybody would who was going to use it.
And you're sure about that?
Positive.
She didn't touch anything but the butt.
Well, she had part of her hand on the trigger.
Yeah, we know that, but she didn't touch any other part of the weapon.
She did not. She didn't have time.
Well, then how do you account for the fact that we found traces of flour on the barrel of the gun?
Well, sure, she was flouring meat.
Well, how did the flour get on the barrel?
I don't know.
Well, isn't it true that when you approached her with the automatic pointed at her, she tried to ward off the shot with her hand? Now, isn't that how the flour got on that barrel?
That isn't true.
Now, you said your wife was putting flour on some steaks.
That's right.
How do you account for the fact that we didn't find any flour on the butt of the gun where it belonged? Or on the drawer of the nightstand, where you say she first picked up the automatic?
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know what all this means.
Well, it means that unless you've got some kind of explanation, we have to assume that you're lying, that you killed your wife.
I don't know how to explain all these things, but I didn't kill her.
Mr. Robertson, you say you were an Army man. Isn't that what you told us out at the apartment?
Yes, I was a sergeant in the Army during the last war.
What outfit were you in?
I was an instructor in sidearm weapons at Santa Ana Army Air Base.
Then you'd be somewhat of an authority on the Colt .45 caliber automatic pistol, wouldn't you?
I guess I would, yeah. That was one of the weapons I instructed in.
You'd know all about the system of ejection employed by the Colt Company on their .45 automatic.
Yes, I would.
The empty casing ejects to the right, up and back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, if you were pointing a .45 at me and you pulled the trigger, the empty casing would eject to your right, up, and fall on the floor to the rear on your right side. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where it would end up.
You still maintain that your wife shot herself?
Yes, I do.
Where was she standing when she pulled the trigger?
As I told you before, in the kitchen.
How was she standing?
What do you mean?
Which way was she facing?
Well, let's see. Facing me. Yeah, that's right, in the kitchen with her back to the sink, facing out toward me.
And where were you?
On the Davenport in the living room, facing her.
Now, bearing in mind what we've already discussed and agreed upon concerning the ejection system of a .45, how do you account for the fact that the empty casing was found in the living room, 6 feet and 4 inches from the kitchen?
Let's see.
I'll figure it for you. The empty casing should have been found on the floor of the kitchen, somewhere to the right and rear of your wife. Isn't that about it?
I don't understand. Why are you trying to prove me guilty? I've told you, and I swear to you, I didn't kill my wife.
Well, it'd be a physical impossibility for that empty casing to have landed anywhere but in the kitchen if your wife had pulled the trigger of that automatic. Now, how about that?
What can I say? Please believe what I'm telling you. I didn't do it.
Not according to the evidence.
I don't understand any of this.
Well, here's the way we've got it reconstructed. You had a quarrel. You got the gun. You met your wife at the doorway to the kitchen. You pointed the gun at her. She tried to ward it off with her left hand, leaving flour on the barrel of the gun. You fired, and the casing was thrown up and back to the right, where it landed on the rug of the living room.
The testimony of the neighbors, the flour on your wife's hand, the position of the empty casing. Robertson, you're it.
I don't know why all these things are the way you say they are.
Well, we do. We don't believe your wife committed suicide. You think about it. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Evidence we've got so far is got him tabbed.
Yeah. With all that proof, he still refuses to cop out.
Something doesn't jibe.
Maybe we can find out why.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes, rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you,
ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
We had Gene Bechtel take Andrew Robertson's statement. We had his testimony that his wife had committed suicide, a fact that he couldn't prove and that we could disprove. We had before us the final investigation. All evidence was taken to the crime lab for analysis. The photographs taken at the scene were developed and brought in for careful checking. In accordance with Robertson's story, both he and his deceased wife were given paraffin tests to determine the presence of nitrates. Both of them were fingerprinted, and latent prints detail started to check them out. 2 teams of men were sent out to talk with the close relatives of the 2 people. Sunday, March 9th, 7 p.m. We got a call from Lieutenant Lee Jones that he had the final results of his investigation. We went over to the 2nd floor of the Central Station crime lab.
Got a couple of things for you.
Okay.
How'd you make out with Robertson?
Well, he insists that it was suicide. What's your ID on it?
Let me show you what we got.
All right.
Yeah, look at this.
A picture of the .45 casing.
That's right. Take a close look at it. Right here in particular.
See?
Yeah. You notice this one edge is a little crimped here?
Yeah, ejector marks.
No, here are your ejector marks up here, see? This crimping is something entirely different.
What is it?
You remember where you found this casing?
6 feet 4 inches into the living room.
That's right.
We wondered how it could have been thrown that far by the ejector if the husband's story's true.
The ejector didn't do that. I wondered, too. On closer inspection, I noticed this crimping. Let me show you how this casing got out there in the living room. Here's an identical .45 caliber cold empty casing.
Yeah.
We place it here on the floor on a piece of carpeting the same thickness that was in their kitchen. Linoleum. Now watch this. I'll step on it, hitting it from an angle. There's your answer to that. When the husband ran over to his wife's side, what did he say he did?
Yeah, it's about the size of it.
He stepped on the casing accidentally, and certainly not caring about it at that moment, it bounced out into the living room just like a tiddlywink. Here. Notice the casing now, the crimping. Check it against the photo.
Looks exactly the same way. It matches.
Did the flour on the barrel of the gun, it was flour, by the way, did it figure in for you fellas?
Well, yeah, we figured the wife was trying to ward off the gun when he pointed it at her.
Certainly the logical deduction. Now, let me show you how it really got on there. Here's that shot of the kitchen out there.
Yeah.
Notice the wastebasket here? It's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah, we noticed that when we were out there.
What you probably didn't notice is this. Here's a blow-up of just that section where the wastebasket was. Can you see what's on the top of the stuff in the basket there?
Yeah, can you hold it over here, leave little
Yeah.
lights in? Yeah, it looks like a flour sack.
That's right, an empty flour sack. Now, figuring the position of the body in relation to that wastebasket, when she dropped the gun, it fell from her hand, striking the wastebasket, bouncing off, and landing on the floor where you found it.
You said when she dropped the gun. You figure it was suicide?
It's beginning to shape up that way, isn't it?
There was no flour found on the butt of the gun.
That part of the automatic didn't come in contact with the flour sack.
Yeah, but at least she was flouring meat.
There were no traces of it on her right hand, on the palm, just on the back. In checking the clothing, we found streaks of flour where she could have wiped her hands clean before picking up the gun.
Yeah, and out there we could only see the backs of her hand. The coroner checked that through, huh? It doesn't look like he killed her.
And there's more here. As you know, we ran paraffin tests on both the victim and Robertson.
Yeah.
Here's the results of the tests.
See. Andrew Robertson, known nitrates negative. Marie Robertson, evidence of nitrates positive.
She fired a gun, he didn't, huh?
That's it. There's something else. Here's the report from latent prints. Smudges. One good thumbprint, right hand, belonging to Marie Robertson, indicating she was the last one to handle a weapon.
Well, that's about it, Lee?
No, that's more for you. Now, this shot was taken facing the east wall of the kitchen. Now, that's the wall that would be on anyone's left, sitting on the Davenport in the front room.
That's right.
Wouldn't be possible to see that wall from the Davenport.
No, it wouldn't, that's right.
You can see the white X where we located the slut.
Yeah.
Relative to the position of the body, if she was standing, holding the gun at approximately a right angle with the side of her head, the bullet would come to rest approximately 4 inches below the crown of her head.
Yeah.
Does it check out?
The coroner says she was 5'4". The bullet was found at a height of 5 1/8, proving that she shot herself rather than anyone else doing it, judging from the inclination of the bullet. As you know, this is critical.
Yeah.
From what it's worth, the The condition of the wound indicates that it was inflicted from extreme close range. Fair point when you consider that most people wouldn't submit to being shot from close range without a struggle or unless taken by surprise.
Well, from all reports, we know she wasn't taken by surprise.
Well, that's it, fellas. That's all I have.
Well, thanks, Lee. Sure enough.
Crime Lab, Jones. Yeah, right here. Just a minute. Either one of you.
All right, Lee, I'll get it. Thanks. Freddie. Oh, hi, Harry. You did, huh? What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have the letter with you? It does, huh? Yeah? Yeah, right, Harry. Thank you very much. Bye. Harry Fremont. He just left Marie Robertson's mother.
What'd she have to say?
Well, Fremont says she gave him a letter. He's on his way in with it now. It was written by Marie Robertson. Says something about taking her own life. Her mother says that the husband couldn't have done it. Says the daughter's shown indication in the past of wanting to take her own life.
Well, not about cinches it.
Makes you feel kind of good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Finding a man clear on a charge instead of having to hang him up.
Come on, Ben.
Right.
Where you headed?
Back across the street.
Wait till I get my coat. I'll go with you.
What for?
I want to see him, too, when you tell him.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 12th, the hearing was held in the office of the coroner, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, a great many listeners have written us saying that they first bought Fatimas because they liked our program. But they go on to say that after smoking their first pack, they agree with everything that we've said about them. That Fatimas are extra mild. That they do have a better flavor and aroma. Well, naturally, we're pleased when you get acquainted with Fatimas because all of us on Dragnet are convinced Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. When you buy your first pack, I'm sure you'll agree. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Andrew William Robertson was immediately released from custody. A 510 form was made out, exonerating him from any complicity in the death of his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James M. Fox, President of the Southern California chapter of the Mystery Writers of America.
The Edgar Allan Poe Awards of the Mystery Writers of America are made each year for outstanding contributions in the field of mystery. This year, by a nationwide vote of 300 professional mystery writers, the radio award goes to Dragnet for consistent excellence in the use of the medium in the best traditions of our craft. The Mystery Writers of America are happy to present their Edgars, statuettes of Poe, to Dragnet's Jim Moser, who writes the scripts, and a duplicate statuette to Dragnet. Congratulations, Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
Then, Pat Novak For Hire. Sure, I'm Pat Novak. For Hire. Down around Around the Embarcadero, everybody's clawing his neighbor for a quick buck, and everybody knows it. Sure, if you call your work something else, who are you fooling? I rent boats when that pays off, and in between I do what I can to keep something on my hip besides a handkerchief. If you'd been along with me a few days ago, you'd have known that I was ready for work. A friend of mine called Ira had an inside tip on a hot horse in the third race at Bay Meadows. I'd gone down there to see if I could promote the news into currency. It was a good idea, except that my horse was still running in the third when they started the fourth. All I had left of my bankroll was an empty feeling. After checking through my pockets, I went out on a highway and started back to town. I was still unlimbering my thumb when a long, low roadster pulled up beside me. It was a very expensive job, including the driver. She was just about old enough to vote, and if she did, and the candidates weren't blind, they'd have spent all their time on her corner.
Is on my way, mister?
I'd sure like to be.
How do you know which way I'm going?
The scenery's good wherever it's located.
The shy type.
You want me to stammer?
No, but you could wait until we're introduced.
Will Novak clear the air any?
My name's Lydia Reynolds. Novak. Haven't I heard about you somewhere?
If you have, you ought to change your friends.
Oh, you're sort of a lone wolf detective or something.
You got 3 votes there. One of them ought to win.
Well, if you're any of those, maybe I could use you.
You look like you could afford it.
Oh, that's no problem.
If money's no problem, you aren't really worrying.
What do you call fear?
Narrow it down.
I can't. It's just... Well, have you ever felt as if something were hovering over you and yet you didn't know what it was?
Could be a blackjack. A second zombie.
Will you help me?
All I can do for nightmares, lady, is keep you up late.
It's more real than that, believe me.
So's the money hiring me will cost you.
You'll do it then. You could be a sort of a bodyguard.
Do I get to fill in the pauses?
Well, at least I won't have to worry about you keeping your mind on your work. Wait here. I have to make a phone call.
She walked away, and it was smooth and easy to watch, like a bird gliding on a bit of wind. When she got out of sight, I began to think about the hire. I'd heard of rich dames doing crazy things, but this was crowding the record. Nobody hires a watchman to stand off a bad dream. I felt like a guy getting ready to fly with a pair of homemade wings. It could be thrilling. Then what else? The what else began to develop right away. A car pulled up near me with 2 men in it. One of them got out. A big guy with the kind of a face you see in ads for men's swimming trunks, handsome and a little vacant. He came over to the car. He wanted to talk.
Got a match, buddy?
Yeah. Here.
Thanks, buddy. It's a nice car you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Must have set you back $3 or $4 grand.
It's only money.
Yeah. What'd you say your name was?
If you're selling anything, I don't want it. Give me back my matches.
I didn't catch the name, buddy.
The wind's against you. Try shutting your mouth.
You have to be nasty.
You got the ways that make it come easy.
You know, I could teach you manners if I had time.
You ain't built to teach me anything I don't want to learn.
No, well, I can try. Starting with, what's this in my hand?
So you're loaded.
So let's drive down the road and see what else I can learn you. Like remembering your name, for instance. Head right into the city. You do know where the city is, don't you?
Look, sucker, if you're out to roll me, you grabbed the wrong goose.
Don't tell me you're broke.
Try the second $5 window down at Bay Meadows.
You're broke. And $3 grand worth of auto? That makes about as much sense as stuttering Dan O'Brien.
So you bet on a 3-legged horse. Let's break it up and forget it.
We're coming into town now. I might as well write it out.
Besides, this ain't my crate. I thumbed a ride from a dame I was waiting for when you started waving around the artillery.
You're telling me your name's Lydia Reynolds. Look, drive up that alley before you get lost.
You knucklehead, it's a dead-end street.
That's all right. From here on, you're riding on a...
came to, it was raining. Not much. Just a faint drizzle. It felt nice on the back of my neck and my hair. As things came back into focus, I found out I was still behind the wheel. I was leaning like a flower a week after the wedding. My head felt big enough for a size 30 hat. I could count every pulse beat and aches. Didn't get any better when someone started shaking me. A big, rough hand. Would have been a gold mine for a rug cleaning outfit. I turned my head enough to see a flock of vest buttons bulging over a belt.
Come on, Novak. This show's a turkey.
Go away, Hellman. This ain't an apple cart.
That's no good, Novak. You'll never make Broadway.
Stop shaking me. What do you think I am, a whiskey sour?
Don't worry. You haven't begun to shake. Wait till the judge starts to read the papers at you.
You think I stole the car?
There's that and
so they caught up with you. They took you off homicide and put you on a hot car detail. I can see now where insurance rates are going to zoom out of sight.
I caught you and the motor's still warm.
You couldn't catch a fever in a flu epidemic.
And while the body's still warm.
You couldn't find your way up an escalator. What'd you say?
The body. In the back of the car. And you hammed that act almost as much as you did that fake blackout.
She called it a nightmare. The body wasn't much to see, just a standard model citizen with a little too much weight and a little too little hair on his head. If he'd been anything special when he was breathing, it had all gone away like a shout in a high wind. Hellman went through the suit, but all that turned up was a hole in the pocket and some chicken feed change. I needed to find out what was going on, and I needed to find it fast. I figured a good place to start was to look up Lydia Reynolds. I'd taken her address off the car. It was a nice place, a cozy 16 or so rooms done in neat white marble. Set back from the rabble in St. Francis Woods behind enough lawn to outfit a golf course. A butler answered my ring. An easy 6 feet of well-collected muscles. He led me along a flock of Persian rugs. I ended up in a living room a little smaller than the Young Museum. Lydia was over by a window. She wasn't glad to see me. She wasn't mad either. Just polite.
Did you have a pleasant drive?
I'll settle for exciting.
Do you always steal cars like that, or is it something you just developed?
What am I supposed to do with that?
Is the question strange? If you knew my neurotic friend, you'd know I have to ask things like that.
Yeah, I met one of them.
I phoned the police about the car, but I'm glad you changed your mind.
Everybody helped, including a friend of yours who held me up, made me drive away, and then slugged me.
A friend of mine?
He knew you're a tall, handsome citizen with a loud voice and nasty manners.
You're describing most of my friends. That doesn't help at all.
This one likes jokes. He planted a corpse in the back of the car.
You're joking, aren't you? I mean, this really didn't happen.
No, all you got to do is explain away my headache.
It means those fears I had weren't just my imagination.
Then what do you got?
That's a good question, my dear. Maybe you ought to think about it.
We were talking. Alone.
You're forgetting your manners.
Am I?
Introduce us, Lydia.
Mr. Novak, my uncle, Charles Reynolds.
And then you'd better go up and rest, don't you think?
I want to talk to Mr. Novak.
Tomorrow would be better. I'm sure Mr. Novak will excuse you.
I'll sit anywhere. It's not my ball game.
Charles. Someday, Charles. Excuse me, Patsy.
A drink, Mr. Novak?
Make it straight, for a change.
Perhaps I should tell you that I'm Lydia's legal guardian as well as her uncle.
The day's full of news.
Those fears of hers are really nothing. Just her imagination. She's a very nervous, high-strung girl. Did you notice?
I didn't notice her trying to climb up the walls.
Of course, it's not that bad. But I'll admit her imagination gives me trouble now and then.
The job's tough, but the pay's good.
I'll look after my niece. I hope it hasn't inconvenienced you any.
Not so far. She hired me. I'll stick around till she fires me.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
They used to say that about flying.
I told you my niece is highly neurotic. She's not responsible for her acts. I'm willing to pay whatever you think is necessary.
So far. I'll leave it that way till she hangs up the phone.
You're wrong about that. My niece is not coming down again tonight. You might as well go.
Mind if I check that with her?
Yes, I do. Are you leaving, or will I have the butler show you out?
Never mind the muscles. I'll play your cards, this time at least.
This time is the last time.
That part is still with her.
I tell you I run this establishment.
Yeah? I'm beginning to wonder how. big butler showed me out. A nice guy to have around if you go for screens in the night. It was quiet and roomy outside. A big, peaceful sky with the moon like a washtub. Little piece of wind playing with the trees on the grounds. Like some old ghosts whispering together. I heard Lydia call the first time she tried. It wasn't much above a breath. She was upstairs at a window. She told me to go to the guest house set on the back of the lot, hidden away in a clump of trees. It turned out to be a little toy cottage like something out of a fairy tale. Lydia showed up while I was still fumbling with the door.
I'm so glad you didn't go away. What did my uncle tell you? Did he send you away?
You didn't have to push hard. I was ready to throw in my hand anyway.
But I need you. Don't you see I need you now more than ever?
I didn't contract to play ducks and drakes with a dead body, a muscle-bound butler, and an uncle who goes around saying goodbye.
But that's one of the reasons I need you. My father left me a huge fortune. My uncle's been trying for years to get his hands on it.
That gets even better. Next we'll be having poison in the highballs.
How do I know how far it'll go? Already he's tried to put me in an asylum.
Yeah. He was giving me that nervous talk about you.
You'll stay?
It's a job for the judge, baby.
All right. It's for the judge. And just stay and talk to me.
I don't know about that either.
Does it sound hard?
The last time we talked, someone else finished the sentences with a blackjack.
I can make better memories than that.
While we're in the files, how come the guy who slugged me knew so much about you?
Oh. His name's Post. They call him Two Spots. Do you have to talk about him?
I like lights when I'm ice skating.
Can't it wait till morning? Don't answer. Maybe they'll go away.
Time to retire, Miss Lydia.
What do you mean, coming here?
Worried about your rescue list. The doctor...
Get out of here! You here? Leave me alone!
Very well, miss, but the gentleman is leaving, and I thought maybe you'd like me to see you back to the house.
He isn't leaving. You are. You're fired!
The gentleman's leaving, miss.
And now I'm on your payroll. The joint's full of guys giving orders.
You want to walk out or stumble?
Make up my mind for me. Doing all right while I stayed away from him. When he got in close, the show ended and the band went home. When I came to, the bump on my head was matching aches with my jaw.
You won that one the hard way, Novak.
Are you the prize? What are you talking about?
That dead body over there. You must be out for the limit tonight.
Oh, help me up. He's the butler. What happened to him?
He backed into a knife. It's illegal, you know.
The town's full of knives. Anybody could get it to him.
I don't see any crowd around. But you're here, ain't you?
Where's the dame?
Why did you kill him, Novak?
Yeah, of course. But where's the dame?
There's something going on around here that I'm not in on. You seem to know all the terms. Open up, and I'm not fooling.
You got the story straight, Hellman. After I left you, I came out here to see the dame Lydia Reynolds. We were in here, and the play was beginning to warm up when the butler knocked and tried to throw me out. I took a swing, and he swung harder. You woke me up. The girl must have done it.
Oh, Lydia Reynolds?
What do you think I'm talking about? Hitting Lamar?
You might as well be, Bub. This way, it's your word against $8 million.
It got even worse when we went after Lydia. Her uncle blocked us away from the door with a doctor looking over his shoulder. He said he followed the butler out to the guest house and caught Lydia as she ran out. He'd seen us fighting and started in to stop us when Lydia fainted. Then Hellman showed up with a stolen car. And Reynolds talked in a very positive voice, $8 million worth. It takes more than an inspector's badge to interrupt that kind of talk. Hellman took it all down in a little book. Then he took me into the Kearney Street station and booked me on suspicion of 2 murders and a car heist. He was happy and helpful. Even sent out and got Jocko Madigan to come to see me. Now, Jocko was an ex-medico and a boozer, but he was the best friend I had in town. If sympathy was a crowbar, I'd have been out of the place in 10 minutes.
Patsy, my boy, I've never seen you look more at home.
Go away, Jocko, you bother me.
Endurance vile, there must you wake and weep, and all your frowsy couching sorrow steep, to paraphrase Bobby Burns.
Go away, my headache.
I've come to offer my aid. Anything I can do for you, Patsy, say it and it's done.
You can't help me, Jocko.
Oh, don't tell me you really did it this time.
No.
Then why are you worrying? Have you no faith in justice?
You can put together a deaf judge and a bought jury. You can...
As bad as that?
Go away, Jocko. Leave your beer for me.
Oh, this isn't like you, Patsy Novak. I've called you everything in the way of being a disgraceful citizen, but I've always admired one thing about you. You were a fighter. You never quit fighting.
How do you fight $8 million in a perfect frame-up?
$8 million? Oh, there isn't that much money.
Try and sell it to Lydia Reynolds.
Oh, is she the one who built the frame?
It's even better than that. I don't know who did it or why.
Oh, don't be mysterious, Patsy. I'm too old to play word games.
Look, Jocko, I was coming to ride in from Bay Meadows. Lydia picked me up. Then I was hijacked by a guy Lydia said could be two-spot post. Slugged and left with a dead body in Lydia's car. I went up to see her about it. The butler cooled me. When I came to, he's dead.
Oh, the girl must have a hard time keeping friends.
She wanted to hire me for a bodyguard. She said she was being threatened, but she couldn't put her finger on it.
That shouldn't be so hard. She starts out with $8 million worth of bait, so anybody might try for that.
Kind of veil.
Who's this two-spot character? Anybody I know?
He's nobody we can use. I think Lydia dreamed him up.
Well, he might be worth looking up.
You're wasting your valuable drinking time, Jocko. You can't put your finger on a ghost.
Oh, you haven't had my experience with the little men, Patsy. So long, lover.
I sat there after Jocko left and tried to put together something I could use to tell my lawyer. I was still thinking it over when the guard came along and opened up my cage. When I got up to the desk, the sergeant told me Lydia had sprung me. She phoned in and said I couldn't have done it. She also fixed bail. I walked out of the place and started down toward Pier 19, but I didn't get far. A car pulled up. It was two-spot, and he still had his gun. I was tired of arguing, so I got in.
How do you like Los Angeles?
If I liked it, I'd live there.
It'll grow on you.
What's the caper post? You got a dream? Spread it out.
I got better than a dream, Novak. I got the best racket since Robin Hood.
Including dead bodies?
They make you nervous? My racket's better than that. I don't need you lousing up the act.
Now who's nervous?
I won't be long. I'm going to put you on a train for Los Angeles and give you $1,000. Stay down there till you spend it.
You're full of dreams.
Don't spend it too fast, Novak. If you come scampering back here before the month's out, you're liable to wind up looking at the inside of a luggage compartment. Like the private dick did.
Oh, you know the guy, huh?
Here's the station. If you have any more questions, ask information. Remember, Novak, if you're tired of breathing, just show your face around town again before New Year's.
If I do, you'll be the first to know it. He followed me into the station and on the train. He stayed right by me until the thing started to pull out. Yeah, it was wonderful. I had $1,000, the name of the guy behind the killings, and a free ride to Palo Alto. When I got off the train down there, I phoned Hellman. He was as helpful as a fireman in a sorority house.
You're in Palo Alto? Good. Stay there.
Before you go out and arrest some more wrong suspects, maybe you'd like to know who did it.
You're full of news, Novak.
I guess you think you found him.
Am I calling for help?
You wouldn't know it if you needed help. The guy behind the caper is two-spot post.
Did you figure that out all by yourself?
Lydia said it might fit him, but I needed proof. I got it.
You haven't got the right time.
Yeah? What's wrong with two-spot having something on Lydia? Something that'd quiet her if he tried to kidnap Grab.
Are you trying to tell me how two-spot works? We've known the guy for years. He runs a bowling alley and makes a little horse book on the side. Kidnapping isn't his style.
Did you ever hear his style's changing?
He has a $50,000 bowling alley, the two-spot in O'Farrell Street. He's not going to risk that.
You're going to sit around on your fat hips and let Lydia be snatched while you check on the tax rate of a bowling alley.
I know who did it, right, boy?
I just told you.
Not unless he's put on a lot of weight.
Who is it?
You know everything, Novak. I wouldn't think of trying to steer you.
Did you know that the body in the car was a private detective?
Yeah, so was the butler. Don't worry so much about things.
Who was it, Hellman?
And have you loused up the act? We got the guy covered like a blanket. The next false move he makes will be on his last.
And 2 spots on the town.
I hear Palo Alto's a nice place. Now, you just stay down there and look it over.
I'm going to look just far enough to find a car.
Listen, Novak. I don't want you to come around putting your big feet in the trap. Now, stay out of this. I'm warning you.
You ought to get a refit on your place, Hellman. That sounded like you said you were warning me. I took a taxi back to San Francisco. The price is easy if you have $1,000. We drove up to St. Francis Woods. Just as we were approaching the Reynolds place, I saw Lydia walking along the sidewalk. She was wrapped up in one of those long capes with a hood. She was walking in a hurry. When I caught up with her, she seemed glad, but she didn't slow down.
Come on, Patsy. Walk with me.
You running after something or something after you?
Something's after me, Patsy. I'm frightened.
You're full of half-talk. Don't you ever open up?
I saw a man, at least a shadow of a man, hiding near a corner of the guest house.
Some more of those fears?
This man was real, Patsy. He was waiting for me out there. I said they're closing in, and they are.
You don't want my help.
But I do. I need help desperately.
Why don't you give me something to work with? All I get out of you is talk about goose pimples.
Oh, I'm tired, Patsy. Awfully tired.
What you need's a drink. Come on downtown with me. I want to look up a friend of mine named Jocko Madigan.
Can't we go to a bar?
You don't know Jocko. We flagged a taxi and beat around town for a while. I finally located Jocko at a Market Street trap up near the Civic Center. The place ran all the way through to the next street. I didn't pay much attention with Lydia headed for the back of the place. The joint had the kind of lights that made a girl want to fix her makeup. I was looking around for Jocko, and it was only by accident that I noticed Lydia walk right past the powder room and out the rear door. I started after her, and I wondered why I should. I figured if that was some more of her half-talk, she could have it all herself. I'd had enough for one day. I turned back to Jocko.
In walked a dead duck.
I'm out of jail, so you're crying.
You're out a girl, too. I saw you watching her leave.
Yeah, she's a restless type.
She dropped you like a leaf. Smart girl.
Her name's Lydia, the one I told you about. She sprung me out of jail.
Oh, I take back the part about her being smart.
I had 2-spot post bill for the part. Hellman says I'm crazy.
He could be right, you know. Why did you pull down your bets on post?
All I had to go on was the fact that he was anxious to keep me out of town for 2 weeks. I could read something was on the fire. I figured he was doing the cooking.
You know, Patsy, I'd like to talk to that Lydia person. There's something fishy in her past. I'd like to know what it is.
With $8 million, she could afford to be careless.
Oh, this is something special. 2-spot ties into it somehow, and then there's that uncle of hers.
Just naming him won't put him in jail.
Well, there's a lot of temptation when you have $8 million to manage for a young girl. Think of what you could do if it all became yours.
You can't arrest a guy because he's dough hungry.
You know, Patsy, a few months ago, Lydia used to run around occasionally with 2-spot. He had a little bowling alley out near her home, and she used to go there.
So she needed exercise.
Then suddenly 2-spot sells the little place and moves downtown to this super layout of his. Where do you think he got the money?
You just said they ran around together.
Well, it could be that, but what if it's something else?
Is that all you're going to work with?
Oh, don't be abrupt. New bowling alley has a guy called Sackhead as manager.
Well, good for him, and goodbye.
Oh, wait a minute. Sackhead used to be a pin boy in the old bowling alley. When he was sober enough to stand up, that is. Now he's manager. There must be a reason.
That's better. Let's go see Sackhead. When we reached the 2-spot alleys, the place was almost deserted. It was too late for the earnest bowlers and too early for the drunks. When I asked the bartender for the manager, he began to gulp air and turn white. I knew I couldn't get anything from him, so I looked around the place till I saw the door marked office. I started that way, but it was a short trip. The bouncer dropped his cigar on the floor and cut across my path fast.
Where you going, Bud?
I don't need any help.
It's private. You can't go in there.
I just want to talk to Sackhead. Look that up in your rule book.
He don't want to talk. He's out to lunch anyway.
Let me find out these things myself.
Nobody goes in there, understand?
Everybody's throwing up stop signs tonight. I can't win all the time. Let's get out of here, Jocko.
What's all the hurry? I've got to finish my drink.
Come on, now.
Oh, not even one for the road.
Hold on, Novak. It's bad for your heart.
Ah, you're bad for me all over, Hellman.
I thought I told you to stay in Palo Alto.
While you two argue, I'll just go back and finish my drink.
Stay here, Madigan. Now, what's the fast getaway all about?
You can pick up your bets about Two-Spot not being the one.
Is he in there?
Yeah. Another night job.
Somebody must think it's still Thanksgiving.
Look, Patsy, I was sitting at the bar.
Quiet, Madigan. It's going to make it tough on you, Novak.
Not any tougher than that bouncer. He saw me go in.
If you weren't so busy being a wise guy, I tipped you off the Two-Spot was a cold trail.
Listen, Patsy.
All right, Hellman, come out from behind that veil. You knew who did it all the time. Now name them.
What's hard about that? Reynolds, of course.
What do you got for proof? Something out of a dream book?
We checked up on those detectives who were killed. Reynolds hired them to work up a plan on Lydia. He wanted her jailed on suspicion of murder. That would give him control of the money. And
he killed Two-Spot because he beat him bowling.
He hired Two-Spot and some of his boys to do the killing. If those dicks began to turn up dead, we could get Lydia on circumstantial evidence.
It's too bad you two didn't wait a while to be born. They're making a better grade of cement now. Your brain...
It adds up pretty good, Jocko. If the killings were only on circumstantial evidence, Lydia wouldn't get the chair. They'd probably give her 20 years, and Uncle could keep all of the family funds.
I'm going out now to pick up Reynolds. I'd like to see either of you try and come along.
Well, what would it be, Jocko?
A champagne highball.
Look, just because I'm buying...
Guess who I saw when you were in Two-Spot's office?
A bottle of scotch.
Yes, no, I also saw Lydia.
Lydia?
She ran out the side door.
That could mean anything.
She's crazy, you know. I could see it in her eyes. Right then she was crazy.
You think she did it?
Oh, I hate to break up your and Hellman's dream, but a doctor's supposed to know insanity when he sees it. Also, there was blood on her hand. A doctor's supposed to be able to identify that, too, if he's had the
But
proper
she can't be
training.
crazy. I was talking to her.
Oh, it could come and go. Besides, she's probably at the stage where drugs can still keep her calmed down. I'll bet that's what Two-Spot had on her. She worked off the drug's effects while bowling when something happened that Two-Spot witnessed. Maybe she killed a pinboy. That would fit. Sackhead seeing it, too.
Then she did all the killing.
Sure, and Two-Spot was covering for her to keep the money coming in. You can't blackmail an insane asylum, you
Come
know.
on, we better warn Hellman.
Warn Hellman? If we do that, the killer might get away.
Come on, Jocko. If Hellman gets killed, they might replace him with a cop with brains. We grabbed a taxi. $10 worth of persuasion made him forget the color of some of the stoplights, and we were out there in no time at all. Even before we were out of the cab, I knew it was too late. I could see the guest house lit up in its own flames. The trees around it looked like black skeletons dangling in a firelight. We started running across the lawn, but Reynolds cut us off.
It's no good, Novak. There's nothing we can do.
Is it Lydia?
Yes. We tried to get in, but she's barricaded herself in an inner room. The heat drove us away.
It's a hard way to die.
I'm sorry I had to lie about the butler's death, put you on the spot like that. I knew she killed him. I was hoping I could get her in an asylum.
She had a rough shuffle. With all that dough, all she could buy was a black ace.
story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For the past 18 weeks, a gang of safe men have been breaking into large grocery stores all over the city. They work fast. You can't localize their operations. Your job? Get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 16th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Freddie. It was 7:45 a.m. when I got to the service station on the corner. The phone booth.
City Hall.
2524, please. Hi, Dick. This is Friday. Romero there?
Hold on, Joe.
Thank you.
Hey, Romero, take two. Romero.
This is Friday, Ben.
Yeah, where you been?
Well, my car again. Something's wrong with that distributor. I'm going to leave it at the service station. I'll grab a streetcar down, huh?
Hey, hit again, Joe. This one makes 37 jobs.
Where at this time?
Wilson Brothers Market, Melrose and Green. Drilled the safe and walked out with $462.
Well, our stakeouts are doing a lot of good, aren't they? I'm worn out from last night.
I didn't get any sleep either. Just had time to go home and brush my teeth when this thing broke.
Okay. You said Melrose and Green?
Yeah, that's right. I won't wait for you. I'll go right on out there.
Okay.
Armstrong and Rubel just left.
Right. I can get over there as fast as I can.
Old man was down here bright and early. Things are jumping.
Okay. I'll see you later, huh?
Oh, Joe, just a minute.
Yeah.
Skipper just came in. What you got on the other end there? Friday. You on your way to Melrose and Green? That's right. The minute you get back, I want to see you two in my office. Right. I guess you heard it.
Yeah, I did.
Guess you could tell from the tone of his voice.
Yeah. Sounds a little upset. How's he look?
Same way.
For 18 weeks, Ben and I had been assigned to this same case. The burglary gang was victimizing only Wilson Brothers markets throughout the city and in surrounding towns adjacent to the city of Los Angeles. Their criminal activities had given them well over $100,000 stolen from these various markets. Additional officers were assigned from the Metropolitan Division, and the case had grown to large proportions. It was 12 minutes past 8 when I arrived at Melrose and Green Streets, the latest Wilson market to be victimized.
Same thing, Joe, just like all the rest.
Yeah. The crime lab find anything?
Been here and gone. They found a few particles of cloth, probably from the guy's gloves, some metal shavings for spectrographical analysis. Same as on all the other jobs.
Well, how'd they gain entry?
Same way, around front. Looks like a tire iron. Pried the door open.
How about the burglar alarm?
No problem. There's a ladder. Climb up and take a look.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah, I see it. Cut the key leads again, huh?
Nothing's different, Joe. Just exactly the same. All around.
Well, that really tears it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
252 men on stakeout last night, and they know just which market to hit, one that isn't covered.
When you figure Wilson's got over 300 stores, we can't cover them all.
I think we might have some of the luck. We're sure overdue.
Nobody could be this lucky this long.
Well, they're out to break the record. Haven't turned up anything new at all, huh?
Not so far. I've been looking around. Come on.
Yeah. Rubel's and Armstrong in the store?
Yeah, they're checking the back of the store, stock room, employees' locker room.
And how much was taken?
Told you on the phone, $462. Some checks, about $200 worth.
Well, this is Wednesday. I suppose the thieves have discontinued the weekend jobs?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Here's the box.
Yeah. Sure a good, clean job. A lot different than those first ones, huh?
Yeah, they've come a long way.
Well, the safe was certainly well lighted, wasn't it?
200-watt bulb up there. Still burning when we got here.
Doesn't do much good with all those boxes piled up over there in front of the window, though.
The manager says he weren't there when he closed up last night.
Well, nothing seems to bother them, does it? They move in, don't chance turning out the light. They just pile crates up between themselves and the street, and then they take their time drilling the box.
That's it. There's the usual empty pop bottles, 3 of them.
Yeah, the cooler bits of it, yeah.
Hi, Friday. Didn't know you were here yet.
Well, hello, Rubles. How are you?
Yeah, but we got something.
Yeah?
Fished these out of the drain in the bathroom.
What do you got?
Looks like they tried to get rid of them. Some of the checks torn up and this fishing license ripped in two.
Well, could I see those? Charles W. Royal, issued last month.
Good chance he might have carried the license in his pocket and got it mixed up with the checks. First, maybe he was going to take the checks, but changed his mind, tore them up, the license with him.
Well, let's hope you're right, Dick. But it might just belong to some employee here.
Well, we've been kind of figuring these jobs might have an inside connection. Maybe this is it, huh?
Let's check it out.
Well, maybe this is the break we've been looking for. We went back to the office and checked the name Charles W. Royal through R&I. No record. We contacted the management of the Wilson Markets. He had been an employee at the store, which was just held up. He had been transferred 6 months prior to their Van Nuys branch. In checking back, we found that the Van Nuys Market was one of the first stores to be burglarized. He was placed under surveillance for several days, and during this period, another Wilson Market was burglarized. The officers conducting the surveillance accounted for all of Royal's time during the burglary. He was brought in for questioning and cleared of any complicity in the burglaries. Monday, September 28th, 8 a.m., we met with Captain Wisdom.
The reason for Royal's fishing license being in with those checks was because he left it behind at that store when he was transferred.
That's right. Manager of the store confirmed it. Said he kept it in a safe for him so it wouldn't get lost.
Well, that lead went nowhere.
None of them go anywhere. We don't get any leads.
Been no kickbacks on any of our teletypes, APBs, or radiograms.
Between Armstrong, Rubles, and Ben and I, the girls in the stats office think we're on the payroll down there. We're wearing out the cards, having to make runs on the gang's M.O. for us.
How about that last stuff Burton from CII sent down?
Well, we checked all 3 of them out. Nothing.
Boys in the crime lab got a lot of physical evidence if they could make something out of it.
That's just it. You can't make something out of nothing. You haven't got much up there. A few steel shavings off those safes, a couple of broken bits, handful of cotton fuzz they think is off the guy's gloves. You can't work miracles.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think we've overlooked anything, Captain. Every neighborhood in the vicinity of every burglary has been checked and rechecked.
And all you turned up was that one woman?
Yeah, the one that saw the 3 men out in back of the Wilson Market over on Vermont. She thought they worked there. Didn't know she'd witnessed a burglary till we told her.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't identify any of them, huh?
No, she couldn't.
I just checked with the sheriff's office. These burglaries are driving them crazy, too. No leads.
Boys from the parole office have been trying to give us a hand. We've checked out everything they sent us on dischargees and parolees. Nothing fits.
Well, did the markets seem to be cooperating, holding up their end as they were instructed?
Well, as far as we can tell, right to the letter, yeah.
All the safes that were concealed in any way have been moved out in a more conspicuous spot, all well illuminated.
The Wilson Company has bought better-made safes to replace the ones that were broken into. They're replacing their old models as fast as they can. Doesn't seem to stop them.
Yeah, all that's according to the book. Doesn't figure with all those precautions they'd be foolish enough to tip off the thieves.
Mind me.
Here, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Larson and Gunn turned this up at that Venice Boulevard job night before last.
Mimeograph stakeout instructions. Huh?
That's right. Put out by the management of the markets. Every time we inform them of a stakeout night, they put these inter-store memos out.
Yeah.
That was for the purpose of informing all the different store managers of the police department's plans so they'd be sure and comply with our instructions.
Yeah.
Motive was okay, but the effects have been causing us more trouble than we know.
Well, weren't these destroyed after the store managers read them?
Apparently not. We'd notify the management of the stores to be staked out a week in advance so that they could quietly let the stores know about it. Whether we wanted the lights left on or turned off to move the safe out of hiding, all the various instructions.
And the management of the market chain just took it on themselves to send out these memoed sheets, huh?
And not only that, in checking the last couple of jobs, either these sheets were in the manager's desks or they were posted in the store someplace.
And all the thieves had to do was go through a desk or check a bulletin board and they knew right where we'd be, huh?
Without this advance information, maybe it'll slow them down. Maybe we can write in on part of the luck. We're due.
Yeah.
Now, come on over here to the pin map. Well, here you are, Friday. A red pin for you and one for you, Romero.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in. I got calluses on my thumb from trying to keep up with those thieves.
Yeah. Well, Venice Boulevard and Rockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Vermont and Marathon.
Yeah, just look at them on there. They're going to run us out of pins if we don't blow the whistle on them.
Well, I'm getting a little sick of it myself.
You take a good look at the map here.
Yeah.
All the red pins of these market jobs in and around here and through here.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, Wilson's got stores throughout most of Southern California.
Yeah.
They've hit in and around the metropolitan area, Pomona, Glendale, a couple of times with the beach cities. But look over here.
That's Eagle Rock.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, they're leaving Eagle Rock alone. There's 7 Wilson markets out there, not one of them have been touched.
Well, maybe they'll hit there next, huh?
And we double-checked all cruiser units out there, told them to be doubly alert. Also to report any suspicious moves around any of the stores. Now, I want to report on any and all cars driving below normal speeds anywhere near those markets. Anything even remotely out of line. There's 7 stores in and around that area. Excuse me. Burglary, Wisdom. The highball. Who's that? They did? Colorado and Bryce. Yeah, right away. Yeah. That was Lieutenant Vaughn, Highland Park. I was wrong. There's only 6 stores in Eagle Rock now.
What do you mean?
They knocked one over last night.
The preliminary investigation of the Wilson Brothers Market in Eagle Rock yielded no additional physical evidence, but it definitely showed that we were dealing with the same gang of thieves. In this last burglary, they got away with $1,852. 1:34 p.m. After 5 hours of continuous checking in the immediate neighborhood of the latest market to be burglarized, Ben and I located a Mrs. Olive Rebard. We felt sure that we'd reached a turning point in the case. Mrs. Rebard had seen 2 of the gang members at work in the Wilson Market at Colorado and Bryce in Eagle Rock. She agreed to come downtown and go through photographs of criminal suspects.
No. Not any of these.
Let's try the next 2 pages.
Certainly are a lot of them, aren't there?
Yes, ma'am. There's still a lot more to go here.
I see it. No, none of these.
Well, that finishes this book.
How many does that make that we've been through?
I believe this one makes 15.
Just looking at all those faces makes you wonder, are there any honest people?
Well, these books represent an accumulation of many years, you understand.
You keep pictures of everybody ever been in prison?
Well, within our jurisdiction, yes, and a great many more besides.
I see.
Ben, how about that Folsom book up there for 45 and 46?
Right. I'll put this one back.
Fine. 46, yeah, that's it.
All right, here we are. You ready, Mrs. Rebard?
All right. No, I don't believe it's any of these.
All right.
Turn the next page there.
How about these?
No. This one, no. That one fellow looked a little like one of them. I thought he did at first.
Which one was that?
This one. No, I was wrong. He looked familiar at first glance.
Well, now, we told you before, Ms. Rebard, if any of these men, their ears, eyes, nose, chin, any part of them looks like any part of the men that you saw, we'd like to know that. We'll have our Sergeant Putoff up in our crime lab drop a composite for you.
You mean you put all the different features together?
Yes, ma'am. If you think it might help in any way, I mean, it'll certainly help us.
I didn't realize that you were that thorough.
Oh, we have to be.
Well, I'm just not that sure about any of their features. It was just like I told you, I didn't get too good a look at them, but I thought I might remember. There's so many pictures here.
Well, would you like to rest a little while, Ms. Rebard? We've been going at this thing for about 2 hours now.
No, that's all right. No, I want to help if I can.
I think I'll open this door, little Joe.
All right.
Let a little draft in from the hall. There. Gets a little stuffy in here sometimes.
Thank you.
I wonder if you'd like a cold drink of some kind. Coke, something like that?
No, thank you. That's very kind. I don't care for one.
All right. Would you like to go on?
Yes, I do.
All right.
No. You understand that when I saw these men in the store, I had to look through the front window. They must have been at least 40 feet away from me. I had to shout to be heard.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
They didn't come over to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe that they were really those lightning burglars. Isn't that what the paper called them?
Yes, ma'am.
They were just as big as life. They were standing behind the meat counter. They even had on the butcher's apron. Still hard to believe. they didn't act like burglars at all.
Sometimes they don't.
Well, the only thing that struck me funny was that anybody be working there on a Sunday. I've seen men in there before. It just didn't seem right that they'd be working there. I wanted to get in to pick up a box of starch. They told me to come back Monday morning when they were open.
Well, if you could have seen over the counter from where you were standing, you would have seen the floor safe right there in the meat department. They were trying to open it.
I never would have known it. You sure you people couldn't have made a mistake?
No, ma'am, I don't think so. We've checked there, and there was no authorized employees in that store yesterday morning.
That's so. Well, must have been them then.
Yeah, we're pretty sure it was. Here,
let me help you there, Mrs. Rebar. These pages are stuck together.
Thank you.
There you are.
I've seen so many photographs, they're all beginning to look alike to me.
Mm-hmm. If you'd like to rest a while, that's fine. Maybe you'd like to go home and come back a little later.
You know something?
What's that, ma'am?
I'm positive now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know those men if I saw them.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Once more, what appeared to first be a good lead dissolved into nothing. The stakeouts were continued. Everything possible was being done to apprehend them. The burglaries of the Wilson markets continued. On the night of October 3rd, officers D.B. O'Connell and P.W. Murphy were working a stakeout on one of the Wilson markets in Eagle Rock. At 2:33 a.m., they had observed a gray Ford coupe, California license 9 Robert 9813, driving at normal speed until reaching the storefront and then slowing down perceptibly, showing unusual interest in the market. Lieutenant Armstrong and Sergeant Rubles checked the license number through DMV. The car was registered to a Clyde R. Bingham, 233 South Carmona Place in Eagle Rock. He was placed under surveillance while we made a thorough check into his background. We located him at the neighborhood bar on Colorado Boulevard. We talked to him for an hour.
So that's it. I'm not your man.
You sure you didn't drive past that Wilson market on Bellevue Avenue?
I didn't say I've never driven by it, but not on the night you said.
Well, have you driven by it on other nights?
I wouldn't remember that. I live out here, and I drive down Bellevue a lot, but I don't know if I've ever been by that market. Suppose I have.
We have your license number and the word of 2 officers who saw you.
I'm afraid they must be mistaken. You have the word of Benny and Walt. You just talked to them. I told you I was here on the night of October 3rd. I stayed here until almost daylight talking to Walt. He closed up at 2, and we sat around and talked.
Where'd you say your car was parked all this time?
Right out in front. Ben Walt told you that, too. I'm telling you, I never left this place the other night.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible you could have forgotten?
Not all 3 of us.
And you didn't loan your car to anybody?
No, sir. I never loaned my car. Stayed right out there in front.
What'd you say you did after this place closed?
As I said, I sat around and talked to Walt. He owns the place.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you talk about?
Oh, I don't know. This and that. I don't recall exactly.
Did you go to work the following day?
Yes, sir, I did.
Seems funny you'd sit up all night talking and then go to work.
I don't have to be to work until I please. You know, I'm my own boss.
Yeah, well, you run your business all by yourself, do you?
No, I have 2 secretaries. They make out checks, keep the books.
What kind of business did you say you were in?
Business management. You know, the thing that bothers me is why you're asking me all these questions.
Routine investigation.
Doesn't sound very routine to me. I don't understand.
We're on an assignment. During the course of that assignment, it became necessary to interrogate you.
I still don't understand. Anything else you want to know?
No, sir. I think that pretty well covers it.
Something I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Is there a law against slowing down in front of a market?
Ben and I felt that Bingham was lying for some reason that we were not aware of. All efforts were made to determine that reason. We made a complete search of his residence. His relatives, friends, and associates were interrogated. The 2 men who had alibied for him were checked out. No evidence was obtained to connect him in any way with the Wilson market burglaries. The surveillance was continued on the 3 men. During the next 2 weeks, another market was burglarized. None of the 3 men could have been involved in any way. Another month went by. The burglaries continued unchecked. The newspapers had dubbed them the Lightning Bandits. There was only one exception to the title. By this time, they'd begun to repeat on markets, to hit again where they had burglarized a safe previously. December 3rd, 4 a.m. Ben and I were cruising the central area, the section not covered by stakeout.
I figure there's only one way to beat this thing.
Yeah, what's that?
Ask for a transfer before they offer us one.
Well, it seems like every way we turn, we're stopped. No leads, nothing.
Here it is almost Christmas again. Those market thieves started last Easter.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got everything covered again tonight as best we can.
We could just keep all the markets covered at one time.
Well, that's been done a couple of times, you know that.
Yeah, I know that, but keep them covered all the time till we get to them. If we had the manpower, we could do it.
Yeah. You want to swing in close to the curb? Here's another market.
Yeah. You see anything?
No, nothing on this side. I can't see the safe in there, can you?
No.
Those vegetable counters are partially blocking it. Lights on, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this side's clear, too.
Rear of the store backs up against that other building, doesn't it?
Yeah, only a front and side entrance. You swing around again. Will you make a U?
You see something?
No, I'm not sure. Just pull back up in front again, huh?
All right.
Okay, this is fine. You want to kill your engine?
Mm-hmm.
You hear that?
I'm not sure.
Come on. You hear it now?
No, it stopped.
Come on.
They're throwing vegetables at that front window.
They're trying to draw our attention here. Now, you cover the side. I'll try to force them to you.
Right, there's the news right.
Right, I see it.
All right, hold it right there. Get your hands in the air. I got him, Joe.
You want to shake him down?
Yeah, right. All right, stand still.
Cover him, Joe. I'll see if there's any more besides these two.
Right.
Who tipped you off?
If we'd have had a tip, we'd have gotten you a long time ago.
That's it. Just these two.
Somebody must tip you off. You couldn't be this lucky.
Why not? You've had your share. The two men were taken into custody and were identified as Wilfred Lawson and Thomas Greenfield. A check with R&I showed no previous record on either man. After a short interrogation, Wilfred Lawson admitted his part in all of the burglaries of the Wilson Brothers markets. He steadily refused to give us any information as to the other possible members of the burglary gang. Thomas Greenfield was interrogated. He was the more timid of the two. He claimed that this was the first job he'd been on with Lawson, that he did not know of any other members of the gang, that he'd only served as lookout on this particular burglary, and that he was not deeply involved. In further investigation of the two suspects, Armstrong and Rubel found that they had been seen in the company of still another man. It was impossible to get any kind of lead on the remaining suspect. We took the matter up with Captain Wisdom. It was our combined belief that we should allow Thomas Greenfield to be released on the grounds that we believed his story about his slight part in the crimes. He was placed under close 24-hour surveillance. Thursday, December 6th. 2 days after we released Thomas Greenfield, we were called into Captain Wisdom's office.
Guess we played it the right way in letting Thomas go.
How do you mean?
Well, first of all, we passed one up last October. You remember Bingham? Guy driving slow past the market in Eagle Rock?
Yeah.
Well, he's the one we want. And these two letters, both postmarked today, we picked them up on that mail stop on Lawson.
Where are they from, Thomas?
Yeah, a couple of choice parts. Yeah, listen to this. Klein says to tell you he's not sore anymore. Ever since that mix-up, him and Walt and Benny decided this was the best way to play it. He says he don't want no part of what's yours. And then there's a lot more here. It says he'll get an attorney for Lawson, and he thinks he really put one over on us. Anyway, all three of them are in it all the way.
Well, how does Bingham figure in it? We had him under surveillance, didn't we?
You know, listen to this from this other letter. Oh, yeah, here it is. I've been talking with C.B. Clyde Bingham, getting real clever now using initials.
Yeah.
I've been talking with C.B. several times only on the phone. He's really not sore. He only laid out since that time. He figured he might be hot. That's enough, isn't it?
It's all there. It adds.
Okay, you got one to roll on.
Yeah.
Go out and pick him up. This time we'll keep him.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 22nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. All three suspects, Wilfred George Lawson, Clyde Robert Bingham, and Thomas Llewellyn Greenfield, were filed on for burglary in the second degree. Wilfred G. Lawson was filed on for 12 counts, Clyde R. Bingham for 6 counts, Thomas L. Greenfield for 3 counts, sentences to run consecutively. They are now serving their time in the state penitentiary. In view of the fact that the authorities were unable to prove the defendants were armed at the time of the burglaries and the stores were not inhabited, they could only be filed on for burglary in the second degree. Second-degree burglary is punishable by a term of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to gratefully acknowledge the Michael Award presented by the Academy of Radio and Television Arts and Sciences. The Academy voted Dragnet the finest program of its kind. It is with deep humility that Dragnet accepts this citation, the highest award bestowed by the radio and television industries.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, International Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Wednesday at 9, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's story of Some Enchanted Carhop.
It was just an ordinary drive-in hamburger joint on Vermont off Sunset, but they called it Hamburger Heaven. And just to carry out the idea, they'd hired 6 angels to wait on cars. 3 blondes, a redhead, and 2 brunettes. I was lucky. I drew the redhead. Only she didn't serve up what I ordered. All she brought me was trouble. The whole thing started when there were only 8 more shopping days until Christmas. I fought my way through the necktie and sock set, and by the time I reached the office, I was ready to start celebrating New Year's. But my boss, the Lion, had other ideas. When I walked in, all 280 pounds of him was up on an office stool. He was tacking a dried-up sprig of mistletoe over the door.
Jeffrey, my boy, come in. The festive season is at hand.
How's that again?
I said the festive season is at hand. I'm filled overflowing with the Yuletide spirit.
Yeah? Well, you better take those nails out of your teeth before you spring a leak.
Oh, yes. Yeah, guess you're right, my boy. I got carried away.
Yeah, sure. You and Tiny Tim. We're expecting women clients?
Women clients? Oh, you mean the mistletoe. Well, Jeffrey, you never can tell when a sweet young thing might accidentally happen in.
Stop drooling, Fatso. You dropped out of the mistletoe set 50 pounds ago.
Well, maybe so, but I still believe in Santa Claus. Now, where was I?
You were up on the stool with berries in your hair.
No, I mean about the new client. What have I told you so far?
That the festive season is at hand?
Huh? Oh, then I haven't told you about our new client. His name is Ward Hamilton, Jeffrey. He was in just a few minutes ago. Fine figure of a man. Well-dressed, distinguished, and prosperous.
That explains the Christmas spirit. How much?
Jeffrey, the Christmas spirit cannot be measured in terms of money. This is the time of goodwill toward men of unselfish devotion.
Sure. How much unselfish devotion did he buy?
$50 worth. It's something about his niece or daughter or some friend or something.
What about them?
Well, it seems this girl's been receiving packages, flowers, candy, that sort of thing.
Well, what's so mysterious about that? Doesn't she know it's Christmas?
Well, for some reason or other, Ward Hamilton says she's worried about them. He'll tell you all about it when you see him. The address is on the desk. It's out on Iredell Road in North Hollywood.
So I find the Santa Claus that's been sending the packages.
Say, that's right. This case does fit right in with the season, doesn't it?
Sure. And Merry Christmas to you, too, Fatso. That started it. I hopped in my sleigh and headed my reindeer out over Cahuenga Pass. Iredell Road was twin rows of California bungalows with Christmas decorations strung out in front. All except one house. It was the address Lion had given me. Redwood front on the usual cream-colored stucco. White ranch-type fence, swimming pool in the backyard. No Christmas anywhere. Behind the fence, a big Dalmatian wagged his tail and grinned at me in a nice, friendly sort of way. Only he was growling when he did it. I circled wide and made the porch, but I didn't get as far as the doorbell.
What do you want?
Mr. Hamilton? I'm Regan, International.
Regan? Oh, yes, the detective. Come in, Mr. Regan, come in.
He was big and gray-haired, the man of distinction. But what he had in his hand wasn't a glass. It was a whip. Black, 10 feet long, with lead weights at the tip.
In here. I appreciate your coming right out, Mr. Regan. I'd like to get prompt action.
Is that what you used that for?
Well, the whip. No, just a hobby of mine. I practice hitting toy ducks floating in the swimming pool.
Oh, nice way to get use out of your pool during the winter season.
Well, yes. Never mind that. Sit down, Mr. Regan. I want to tell you about Mary.
That's the niece.
Niece? No relation. I'm a close friend of her family's. Her parents died several years ago. There was no one else, so I've tried to take over the reins and help the girl along. It hasn't been easy.
She isn't broken to harness.
It's a nice metaphor, but it doesn't fit. Not at all. Mary Winter is a strange girl. Very strange.
She's the shy, retiring type.
Ah, I see. The detective training. You're thinking ahead, assuming that she's not attractive to men. Nothing could be further from the truth. She's a lovely girl. Very lovely. Auburn hair, green eyes, fine, firm, youthful figure. Desirable is the word, Mr. Regan. Desirable. You understand what I mean?
You make it pretty clear. So, that brings us to the anonymous packages.
For almost 6 weeks, someone has been sending Mary gifts. Almost every day. Flowers, candy, novelties, that sort of thing. No name, no indication where they come from.
Mary has no idea either?
No. But she's reacted to them badly. They're making her nervous, upset. There's something I can't afford to have happen.
Come again?
Mr. Regan, I can observe that there's little use in trying to keep anything back from you. My interest in the package matter is because of money.
Now the story begins to make sense.
Mary is strange. Perhaps I should have said peculiar. Her aversion to men is almost, well, I've been sending her to a Mr. Farthing, a human relations counselor.
A psychologist?
Something like that.
And it costs money?
Yes, it costs money. The more delay in cure, the more it costs. Frankly, Mr. Regan, I'm tired of the obligation.
She work?
Yes. She works at one of those drive-in stands. Carhop.
Something wrong with that?
The place is called Hamburger Heaven, Mr. Regan.
And you want me to find the guy who sends the packages so he'll marry her, or so you can get rid of him?
It works the same either way. You'll take the job, Mr. Regan?
Sure. I'll find your guy. Maybe he'll look good under your Christmas tree. Ward Hamilton gave me the girl's address in Hollywood. It was a tired stucco 4-flat just off Kingsley, the home of Mary Winter, the girl who hated men. And then it was too easy. Standing out front near the curb was a little man in a trench coat. He carried an umbrella over his arm, and he paced up and down, watching the apartment. That was too good a bet to pass up. You going somewhere?
I beg your pardon?
Someone you know lives in there?
Why, that's none of your business, sir.
The name of the friend wouldn't be Mary Winter.
Get out of my way.
That's what I thought. Hold it.
Let go of my arm. Let go, I say.
Why are you watching Mary Winter's apartment?
I warned you. Let go. Let
Answer
go.
me.
Very well. I'll answer you.
The umbrella in his hand came down on my wrist, and he broke for the corner. By the time I turned, he was out of sight. On the ground, broken, was the little man's umbrella. I picked it up. Real break. Name engraved on the handle. In nice big gold letters, it said, Smith. I headed for Mary Winter's apartment. I knocked, and nothing happened. Knocked again. The radio in the room told me somebody was in and liked their music loud. I tried the door, and it worked. I stuck my head in to look around. A redhead came in from another room, in slacks and halter. She saw me. She dived for the closet and came out wearing a coat. Then she snapped off the radio.
Get out of here!
Look, I tried knocking, but...
Get out before I call the police!
The name's Regan. Ward Hamilton sent me.
You're lying. You're trying to trick me.
Phone him. He'll tell you.
What do you want?
About the presents you've been getting. Tell me.
I'm not sure. I can't trust you.
Well, look, for the last time, I'm supposed to find out who's sending them. Either you help or you don't. Now, take your choice.
All right. I'll listen. But don't you come a step closer.
I sat down. One corner of the room. Redhead, other corner. She was tall, graceful, beautiful. Everything a guy could want. Except for the look in her eyes. Scared, hunted. I waited for her to start it.
They began several weeks ago. The presents. I don't know who is sending them or why, but
Any card? Identification?
No, nothing.
You sure?
You think I'd accept gifts from a stranger?
Take it easy. Nobody said that. What did Farthing tell you?
Farthing?
The Human Relations Counselor you go to.
Oh, you know about that?
Yeah, I know about that. What did he say?
That I shouldn't worry. That I should find out.
That all?
Oh, you don't understand. You're like all of them. Get out of here.
One question. You know a little guy about 30 carries an umbrella, wears a trench coat, shy?
No.
Are you sure? Think. A little guy.
No, I don't know him. I've never met him in my life. Get out!
I left the redhead sobbing softly to herself. Maybe a lot of flowers and candy would be kind of nice to a lot of people during Christmas, but not to Mary Winter. She was mixed up, inside and out. I headed back to my car, and then I was mixed up. It had looked easy until I got to my car. That's when I got complications. A big complication. Fat, 40, with a gun.
Get in, Shamus.
Now what?
Your choice, Shamus.
Like what?
The Winter Dame,
Your property?
Not my type.
Belong to the boss?
Question, Shamus,
Beat it, will you?
I'm not through with you.
Okay, get through.
Stay away from Mary Winter or you get trouble. Real bad trouble. Any questions now, Shamus?
Yeah. Who pays you?
You shouldn't have asked that question.
It looked like it was going to be a real holiday season. Brotherly love all over the place. The next stop was a man named Mr. Farthing. Only the sign on the door said John J. Farthing, Human Relations Counselor. It was a plush layout. Waiting room the size of a box top. Rich, solid, lined with deep green leather chairs, brass studs. On the wall, Van Gogh, Gauguin, that kind of stuff. The receptionist was out, and I took a crack at the thick mahogany door.
Yes, come in, please. What may I do for you, sir?
The name's Regan, international detective.
Oh, sit down, Mr. Regan. Now, is something troubling you?
Girl named Winter. Mary Winter.
Go on, Mr. Regan.
She's a patient of yours?
Why do you ask?
A couple of questions about her.
I see.
Since you know her background, I thought you could fill me in on a few things. I said...
I heard you, Mr. Regan.
Well?
Perhaps, sir, you're aware of the nature of my work. Since I assume you're an intelligent man, I don't believe it's necessary to be much more explicit than that.
Try it for size.
Very well. Cigarette, Mr. Regan?
Thanks.
There is in existence a code of ethics. Some practitioners call it the Hippocratic Oath. I'm not a doctor, as you know, yet I, too, Mr. Regan, have a moral code.
I'm listening.
Nothing in my code, either morally, ethically, or in any other way, allows me to discuss the affairs of my patients. Is that clear?
Yeah. That's clear.
I'm sorry I can't assist you in whatever it is you're trying to do, Mr. Regan. I'd like to help, but as you see, my hands are tied.
That makes two of us. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Mr. Farthing, gray suit, ivory cigarette holder, and gold cufflinks, stood up and shook hands solemnly. I left. He'd given me nothing. And there was only one thing wrong with that. Mr. Farthing was right. I decided to check in with my boss, Anthony J. Lyon.
The International Detective Agency, Anthony.
Save it for the customers, Fatso.
Jeffrey, where have you been?
Look, I just started this business 2 hours ago. What's eating you?
Just this. I have here in my office with me a young man. He has an interesting story, Jeffrey. It seems he's been sending gifts to one Mary Winter.
What?
That's correct, Regan, the man you're supposed to be looking for. Well, don't just stand there. Get over here at once. This young man can't wait all day for lazy detectives. And besides, he needs help.
He needs help.
Yeah, that's right, Jeffrey. The man you were supposed to find. His life's in danger.
This is CBS, and you're listening to Jeff Regan, Investigator, and tonight's adventure, Some Enchanted Carhop.
It started when a guy named Ward Hamilton hired the Lion and me to find out who was sending packages to a Carhop named Mary Winter. I met a little guy with an umbrella and a big guy with a gun, and a human relations counselor who called himself Mr. Farthing. Then I phoned my boss, Anthony J. Lyon, and found the mysterious Santa Claus who'd been sending the girl gifts had walked right into our office. When I got there, I found the Lion sitting with his fingertips touching as he talked to the man across the desk from him. Like I guessed, it was the same guy I'd seen outside Mary Winter's apartment. The little guy, 30, trench coat, and nervous.
Jeffrey, come in. I want you to meet our new client, Mr. Smith. Mr. Ernest Smith. He's in trouble.
Well, if he isn't, he should be.
Jeffrey, what on earth do you mean?
I found your Mr. Smith outside the girl's apartment. He wasn't looking for frost on those windows.
No, Mr. Regan. That's...
What Mr. Smith is trying to say, Jeffrey, is that that's not true. Mr. Smith is in real trouble.
You sell it to him?
Jeffrey, how can you say such a thing? Mr. Smith feels his life is in danger, hence he has retained us to act in his behalf.
That's true, Mr. Regan. I'll admit I sent the gifts to Miss Winter. I didn't realize, I didn't know...
Get to the point.
Now I'm afraid. Since I saw you this afternoon, someone's following me.
Fat guy, big coat.
Yes. I came here for help. Someone doesn't like my sending the gifts.
Well, that's real bright. But you can start with Mary Winter.
She doesn't like them, Mr. Regan?
Then there's a guy named Hamilton.
She's married?
We call him a guardian, family friend.
Oh.
Finish your story.
I like Miss Winter. I wanted to do something for her.
So you've been sending her anonymous presents for almost 6 weeks. Isn't that carrying the Christmas spirit too far?
Well, I like her. That's not abnormal, is it, Mr. Regan?
Yeah, of course not, Mr. Smith.
You keep out of this, Fatso.
Yeah, but Jeffrey, our client...
We got another client named Hamilton, remember? Besides, you haven't met the girl.
Neither have I.
What?
I've never met Mary Winter. Is that abnormal, Mr. Regan? Oh, dear. Dear, perhaps I'm sicker than Mr. Farthing told me.
Say that again?
Mr. Farthing, my human relations counselor, he takes care of me.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this is going to add up. You've never met Mary Winter?
No.
No, but you've seen her. You've seen her in the waiting room of Farthing's office.
Why, Mr. Regan, how on earth did you guess? That's exactly it. She was reading a copy of Reader's Digest, and I was reading an old National Geographic. It was a fall
Never
day.
mind. Well, Lion, I think that wraps that up.
Jeffrey, what do you mean?
Mary Winter is afraid of unknown guy sending packages. Unknown guy turns out to be Smith. Take Smith to Mary, show her he's harmless. Collect our fee.
Yeah, but Jeffrey, what about Mr. Smith? What about the man who's following him?
Maybe he just imagined it. Come on, Smith. We're going to visit a redhead. The Lion didn't believe Smith imagined it any more than I did. But he only sputtered, and I loaded Smith into the car and headed out to Mary Winter's apartment. It looked simple, then, like a glass of mild eggnog. What I didn't know was that somebody had slipped me a zombie. was turning dark when we pulled up in front of the place. Smith stayed at my heels like a sheepdog. I knocked. This time she opened the door.
Oh, Mr. Regan, what are you doing here?
Brought your Christmas present. Only this one's harmless.
Oh, no.
Take it
No.
easy, sweetheart. Just a guy named Smith. You might even like him.
No, please go away. Please go away.
Smith and I walked on in, and Mary backed into a chair in the far corner of the room. She and Smith looked at each other and didn't say anything, so I waited for the sparks to die out of her eyes. But they didn't. There was something else on her mind.
This is the man who sent the packages.
You guessed it. Smith, Mary Winter. Mary Winter, Smith.
Get him out of here.
Huh?
I said get him out of here before he kills me.
Oh, no.
Sit down. Now, just a minute, lady. He won't hurt anybody. Just take it easy, will you? Just take quiet.
That's what you're
Oh, no, I
Now,
didn't
listen,
hurt
sweetheart. Wait a minute. It's Christmas. You've heard of that, I think, haven't you? People send presents to each other because it makes them feel good. Now, Smith sent you presents for the same reason.
He's going to kill me. You're like he is, trying to trap me.
Oh, that does it.
All right. Look at this.
What, a card?
It came in a box of flowers. Was delivered here to my apartment tonight.
Each man kills the thing he loves.
Well, Regan, try and explain that. Try and
Shut
prove
up. Did you send this, Smith?
No, Mr. Regan. I didn't send it. I sent flowers and candy and nice things.
Mr. Regan, at the window!
I left them with their mouths open and ran for the hall, and then outside. The girl may have had an overworked imagination, but her mind didn't knock over that garbage can. It was dark and peaceful and still outside. Me and a half moon and nobody else. And then I saw him, thick-set, crouched, moving away from the window. I dove after him. We went down together as his hand came out of his pocket. The heavy gray .45 got itself in my direction, and I grabbed at the wrist behind him. The gun fell into the rose bush, but he got to his feet.
I warned you once, Shamus. Stay away from that girl. Who said so? Never mind. Now, get off the case now, before it's too late. It'll only mean go.
Were you going to say trouble? The big guy was 200 pounds of unconscious as I bent over him. A heavy camel hair coat was wrapped around him. The same guy I'd seen before. I unbuttoned the coat figuring some identification might help, only when it came open, I didn't need any more. He was wearing a tailored starched jacket. It wasn't the kind you see every day. It was white. That gave me the lead I needed, and I headed fast for my car. 10 minutes later, I stopped at the drugstore on my way out to the valley. I phoned the Lion and told him to check on Farthing. Then I headed the car out Cahuenga. The pass was crowded with home-from-work traffic. It took me 25 minutes to make Iredell Road and the home of Ward Hamilton. This time the Dalmatian was out for the night. But Ward Hamilton wasn't. He opened the door.
Well, Mr. Regan, come in. You work late.
Our time clock's out of order.
Oh, perhaps you'd like one for Christmas.
No, thanks. Wouldn't fit in my sock.
Well, Mr. Regan, I take it by this visit that you have good news for me.
Call it that.
You know who's been sending the girl those gifts?
A guy named Smith.
How's that again?
Smith, Ernest Smith. His birth certificate says.
I'm afraid I've never heard of him, Mr. Regan.
He saw Mary in the waiting room of Farthing's office. Never met her. Shy little guy.
Well, now isn't that something? Well, I must say, Mr. Regan, you did a remarkably fast job.
There's something else you ought to know, Hamilton. Chances are Farthing's a phony.
Mr. Farthing?
Looks like.
Why, it seems absurd.
Just thought I'd let you know. Want me to go on with the case?
What do you mean, Mr. Regan?
I found your guy, Smith. That's what you hired me for. And when I get to Farthing, he'll sing like a prima donna.
Sing?
Talk.
Well, then keep going.
Okay, Hamilton. It's your money.
It's your life, Mr. Regan. Be careful.
I made a fast phone call to the Lion on my way back into town, and that tied it up. Farthing was working late when I got there, only when he looked up and saw me, he wasn't happy.
What do you want?
Conversation, a lot of it.
Mr. Regan, I must ask why you've come to my office at this hour.
I told you, for conversation.
Then I may regard this whole thing as a sort of joke?
Maybe. Only the laughs you'll get wouldn't get by even on television.
I demand an explanation of your attitude.
Fair enough. Start with your name. Not Farthing, it's Farnham, Howard Farnham. You want more?
Where did you get that?
I had a phone conversation with my boss. He's got ways of getting things. Like your record. 5 arrest bunco, 1 arrest forgery, 1 arrest fraud.
No conviction.
You were lucky. Maybe you won't be this time.
You haven't got anything on me, Regan?
How about blackmail?
Not a chance.
Maybe not yet. Only you were getting set for a job. I believe the guy's name was Hamilton.
You can't prove it.
Well, it was your mug, the big guy in the white jacket. He meant business. Does he do your legwork?
Listen, Regan, you can't pin blackmail on me. Sure, maybe I had ideas, but I don't claim I'm a doctor. I don't hand out any pills. Just advice, Regan. That's all. Just advice.
That's too bad. You know, there are a lot of people that take phonies like you seriously, Farnham. A lot of people that could use advice. Real advice.
Mine's real. They say, should I marry him? And I say yes or no, depending...
On how much there is in it for you.
What do you want from me, Regan?
Who paid you to put the B on Mary Winter?
Never mind, Farthing. You won't have to answer that.
Come on in, Hamilton. I've been waiting for you.
You're bragging, Mr. Regan.
It made sense if I could get you to join Farthing and me. You might have something to say. You're showing up. Check my story.
What story?
Like this. Man named Hamilton's supposed to look out for a young redhead named Mary Winter. Only Hamilton takes one look at this number, and suddenly he's not fatherly anymore. He decides to move in for himself.
The third.
Is it? You convinced the girl she couldn't trust any man in the world but you. Should have been the other way around. You're the one she couldn't trust. Isn't that right, Farthing?
Leave me out of this, Regan. I run a legitimate business.
Leave you out? Well, that wouldn't be fair. You were the guy Hamilton came to with money. He paid you to tell Mary Winter who was the man for her. Am I right, Farthing?
You're lying, Regan.
No, I'm not. Everything worked fine until along came a nice, shy little guy with an umbrella, Mr. Smith. Met Mary in Farthing's waiting room, starting sending her presents. You know, that must have really stopped you, Hamilton, trying to figure out who was cutting in on your Romeo act.
Regan, I've had enough out of you. I thought you were getting nosy.
You hired me to find the guy, and I did. End of story. Except if anybody should happen to tell Mary Winter what kind of a guy you really are, Hamilton, you might suddenly find yourself out of a lifetime career.
You'll never tell her, Regan. I'll see to that.
Forget one item. For a last touch, you send Mary a threatening note. Really put the pressure on. You're washed up, Hamilton.
This revolver says I'm not, Mr. Regan. Farthing, come over here, out of the way. We're going to take care of Mr. Regan.
Self-defense, not a chance with Farthing's record. Am I right, Farnham?
Do as I say, Farthing.
Go ahead, Farnham, go ahead. Murder will look good on your list.
I won't play ball, Hamilton. I told the girl what you wanted, but I'm not in this. It's your fight.
I can make it yours.
Don't try it.
I am as good with this gun, gentlemen, as I am with a whip. Farnham, watch out.
Farnham ducked as I hit Hamilton's wrist. The bullet buried itself in the desk top, and the gun hit the floor. I got the gun as Hamilton moved in fast. Only what he got for his trouble was the barrel across his head. Farnham crawled up to his chair and sat down, puffing. I let him catch his breath. When I waved the gun in his direction, he didn't mind phoning the police. The heavy guy in the white jacket showed up bright and early for work the next morning, and the cop greeted him with a pair of handcuffs. He got off with assault and battery, and Farnham, alias Farthing, made the blotter for a light charge. Hamilton wasn't that lucky. His read assault with intent to kill. It was noon when I got to the Lion's office. He was admiring the Christmas tree stuck in the corner. And from the sounds that came out of his mouth, it looked like his holiday fever was becoming serious.
Nowhere. Born is the king of... Oh, hello, Jeffrey.
They're looking for a replacement for Vaughn Monroe?
Jeffrey, how unkind. It's the season for songs. Sunday is Christmas, my boy.
And today is payday.
So it is. Well, perhaps I could manage a small token, a sign of my gratitude.
Thanks.
Yeah, by the way, what about Mary Winter, the Carhop? How is the girl, Jeffrey?
Oh, I left her with Smith last night when I went after Farthing's mug.
Jeffrey, you didn't. Alone together? And that girl hating all men, and that boy shy, backwards? Jeffrey, how could you? How cruel.
It's too late now, Lion. Maybe we'll read about it in the afternoon paper.
Double murder.
Double hamburger.
What did you say?
I drove by Mary's drive-in this morning. There was a car parked there.
Jeffrey, you mean...
Little guy behind the wheel. Trench coat, umbrella. He looked an awful lot like our boy Smith.
Then you talked to them?
For a minute.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Tell me, Jeffrey, tell me. What did Mary say?
She said, with or without onions? Merry Christmas, Lion.
Merry Christmas, Jeffrey.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and William Fifield, produced by Sterling Tracy, directed by Gordon T. Hughes, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking and inviting you to be with us again next week at this same time for Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Fatima Cigarettes is proud to present its Academy Award-winning radio program. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A young mother is murdered in bed while her 7-year-old son sleeps by her side. The killer was vicious and cunning. Your job? Get him. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 11:25 p.m. when we got to 543 West Bixel Street. Front door.
Homicide? That's right. This is Friday. My name's Romero.
Klein, Unit 69.
How are you?
Partner's Thomas. He's in with the victim's mother and son. Back this way, sleeping porch.
Okay.
What's the story?
Yeah, really a nasty mess. Looks like a shotgun. Victim's face is half gone.
What's the name?
Josephine Stevens, 28 years old.
What do you got so far?
Not much. Her mother's in a state of shock. Talked to the young boy for a minute. Pretty terrible. Here's the sleeping porch.
Dear God.
Yeah. You got a little kid by her side. It knocks the props out from under you.
What do you got on it?
Seems as Josephine Stevens and her 7-year-old boy was sleeping in the bed when it happened. Haven't been able to fill it all out yet, but from what the youngster told us, it happened about 30 minutes ago.
I'd say it was a shotgun, too, wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah, looks like it.
You can see by the head of the bed here. It looks like shotgun pellets.
Yeah.
The screen in the door here looks like it was recently torn.
Yeah, Thomas and I noticed that, too. We made an immediate search of the area. Didn't turn up anybody. Backyard, round the side, shrubbery. Didn't find anything.
Yeah?
We were careful not to step off onto the soft earth anywhere around. Didn't want a chance destroying any prints or anything.
That's fine. Did you talk to the girl's mother at all, Klein?
Very little. She's still hysterical. Doesn't seem to know what she's saying. Couldn't tell us very much.
Yeah, well, let's step into the next room, huh?
Room's just the way we found it. Nothing out of order. Dresser drawers are all closed. Room hadn't been prowled.
No, it doesn't look like the work of a burglar or a prowler.
Well, a burglar or prowler wouldn't be carrying a shotgun either, would he?
The only thing Thomas and I found were a cut in the screen, the gate around the side of the house there. It was open.
Crime lab been called?
Haven't had time to do it right now.
No, never mind. I'll take care of it. I want to call in anyway. Do they have a phone here?
Right in the kitchen there on that table.
Okay, thank you. I figure we could use some help, don't you?
Yeah. They're right there, you left.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
City Hall.
2643, please.
2643? Crime lab, Allen.
This is Friday, G.
Gotcha.
We're at 543 West Bixel. Got a homicide. We're going to need prints, photographs, the whole deal, Jay. Looks like the woman was killed with a shotgun.
Let me double-check that address, Joe. 543 West Bixel.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a phone out there?
Yeah, it's Hollywood 93199.
We'll get right on it, Joe.
Thanks. Say, Jay, could you transfer me to 2521, please?
Right. Operator? 2521. 2521. Homicide, Sanchez.
Sanchez, this is Friday.
What'd you find out there?
Oh, it's a bad one. Shotgun killing. Haven't got too much yet. We're going to have some help.
What do you need?
We need somebody to cover the area. We don't know what we got yet. Talk to the witnesses, neighbors, cover the parked cars.
Right.
Will you send out a broadcast for us? Alert all units to be on the lookout for a person or persons with a shotgun in their possession.
Take care of it right away. How many men you think you need?
Well, at least 4 crews. Could you get them out right away?
Okay, anything else?
No, I'll fill them in when they get here. Thanks a lot, Sanchez.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Klein says we could talk to the youngster.
You don't think it'd do any good to talk to Mother?
She's still in bad shape. Imagine she'll be all right in a little while, but I think you just wasted time right now.
Well, I forgot something.
What's that?
I forgot to call the coroner.
I'll take care of it for you.
Well, would you take the boy into the front part of the house for us?
Sure.
Fine. Then if you'll just call Sanchez down in Homicide downtown, he'll notify the coroner for us.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Joe, you want to see something break your heart?
Yeah, what's that?
There's some blood on the floor there, leading from the sleeping porch to this bedroom here.
Yeah. Look like small footprints, huh?
They are. Little boys.
Well, let's go in the front room.
Yeah.
This is a boy, 7 years old, name's Charles.
Right. Thanks, Clay.
I'll make that call for you right away, Freddie.
Hello, son.
What happened to my mommy?
I'm sorry. You better take it, Joe.
Yeah. Come over here to me, son. Charles, is that your name?
Charlie.
Well, my name's Joe, Charlie.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joe?
Well, it's Joe Friday, son.
Mr. Friday, are you a policeman?
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. Now, that other man in the uniform, Officer Klein,
Yes, sir.
he said that you might be able to tell us what happened here. Do you feel like talking about it, son?
Mr. Friday, do you know what happened to my mommy?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, son. We'd just like to ask you a few questions.
She's hurt bad, isn't she? Did she talk to you? She wouldn't talk to me. Grandma and those other policemen wouldn't let me stay in there.
Well, can you tell us what happened here?
You want me to tell you like I told the other policemen?
If you would, please.
I wish you'd let me go in and see Mommy. She could tell you a lot better than I can.
Well, she's hurt kind of bad, son. We just thought that maybe you'd tell us.
Well, we were sleeping in the bed on the back porch.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to bed, and Mommy was reading me a story. And then I heard this man at the screen door.
Did you see the man, Charlie?
No, I didn't. Mommy wouldn't let me.
Well, how do you mean, son? How do you know it was a man, then?
Well, somebody was cutting the screen at the door. I thought it was a man.
But you're not sure? You didn't see him?
No, sir, I didn't see anybody. It was dark outside.
You heard somebody cutting the screen, though, is that right?
Yes, sir. Then Mommy sat up in bed. I started to sit up, too, but she wouldn't let me. She pushed me back down and said, keep down.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember exactly what she said, Charlie?
She said just to keep down. That's all she said.
Well, then what happened?
I heard this big gun, and Mommy fell down in the bed again. I could tell she was cut. I could see blood all over her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't talk to me. So then I went to get Grandma.
Now, after you heard the gun, did you hear anything else?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, did you hear anybody running outside the house? Anything like that?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I got up and went into Grandma's room. I was awful scared. I don't know why Mommy wouldn't talk to me. She always used to when I was scared.
Well, now, can you think of anything else that you might be able to tell us, son?
No, sir. I just don't know why anybody would hurt my Mommy. She's so good. She never hurts anybody.
Where's your father, Charlie?
I don't know where he is. They don't live together anymore now.
Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you saw your father, son?
Just last Sunday it was. Yesterday, I guess. I see him every Sunday.
Well, do you have any idea who might want to hurt your mother?
No, sir. Nobody.
All right. What do you think, Ben?
Charlie.
Yes, sir?
Did your mother and father seem to argue with one another very much?
Before we moved here to Grandma's house, they used to argue all the time. That's when we lived in the apartment.
Is that why you moved over here, son?
Yes, sir, that's partly it. Mama had to work, and she didn't want to leave me alone here, so we moved over to Grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your father would ever hurt your mother? Did he ever say anything about ever hurting her?
My daddy was always so good to me. He used to buy me all kinds of things. I don't think he was ever mean to anybody.
See? Do you remember your mother ever saying she was afraid of anybody?
No, sir. She was never afraid of anybody.
How do you know that, son?
She and Grandma used to always tell me that I'm the man of the family. As long as I'm around, they're not scared of anybody.
Oh, I see.
But when you talk to Mama, you won't tell her, will you?
Tell her what, son?
She always says that big men don't cry about things. When Grandma came out on the porch, she started to cry, and she took me into her room, and then she cried some more. I guess I cried a lot, too. When you talk to Mommy, you won't tell her that, will you?
No, we won't.
I've never really known. Is that right? Do big men ever cry?
Yes, son. They cry.
.45 p.m. The crime lab men arrived and went to work. They found 3 shotgun pellets embedded in the wall to the right and above the head of the victim's bed. 2 additional lead pellets were removed from the bedstead above the pillow on the right side of Josephine Stevens' bed. This fact, in conjunction with the position of the hole ripped in the screen door, proved that the victim was sitting up in bed at the time of the shooting. This fact, too, showed why the 7-year-old boy lived and his mother died. Further investigation showed that the fatal shot was fired from outside through the hole in the screen door. The search of the surrounding area failed to yield the murder weapon or any additional physical evidence. The neighbors were all checked. They could add nothing to what we already knew. The few who had heard the blast from the shotgun thought it was backfire from a passing car. Units in the area of the murder picked up 14 possible suspects on the street and in the neighborhood at the time of the killing. They were all checked out and cleared of any connection with the crime. Josephine Stevens' mother, Mrs. James Edwards, was in a near state of collapse, but she managed to give us a statement. Her story corroborated that of 7-year-old Charles Stevens. Supplemental broadcasts and an all-points bulletin were put out to try and locate the killer. Ben and I drove over to 1543 East Workman Street to check out the husband of the murdered woman. Well, this is it, huh?
Yeah, White House here.
All right, let's go.
Car parked in the driveway.
Yeah. The hood's warm. Car's been used recently.
Yeah, you got your flashlight?
Yeah, here.
All right. The car's registered to Keith Stevens.
Yeah, come on. The lights are on inside, huh?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mr. Keith Stevens?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers like to talk to you.
Want to come in?
Yes, sir, thank you.
What's the trouble, officer?
When's the last time you saw your wife, Stevens?
Why?
Well, when did you see her last?
Well, I was over there yesterday. Always go over every Sunday to visit my little boy, Charlie. My wife and I are separated. That's what we agreed on.
And that's the last time that you saw her?
Yes, it is. Why?
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Your wife is dead.
What's that?
I'm sorry. You
kidding. She was all right yesterday. There must be some mistake here.
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
Josephine Stevens. You sure?
543 West Bexel Street.
I gotta sit down. What happened?
She was shot.
Well, how? I can't believe this.
Well, we're working on it now. Somebody shot her while she was in bed.
I just saw her yesterday. How did it happen? Was it an accident?
No, sir. Somebody killed her.
How about little Charlie? He sleeps with his mother. Is Charlie all right?
Yes, sir. He's fine. He wasn't hurt at all. It was a small miracle how he came out of it, but apparently his safety was the last thing your wife thought of before she was killed.
It's just terrible. I still can't believe what you're saying is true. Who in the world would do a thing like this?
We want to know that, too. We need your help.
Well, where's my boy? I better go right over and see my boy.
He's in good hands with his grandmother. We just want to ask you a few questions, and then you can go right over and see him.
All right. You got to get whoever did this terrible thing.
Yes, sir. We're going to try.
Now, how is it that you happen to be up this late at night?
I just got home from work. I work the swing shift at Gibney's.
That's the steel mill down in Alameda?
Yes, that's right.
Did you work today?
Yes, I told you. I just this minute got in.
Swing shift. What hours would that be?
4 to 12.
Did you work the full shift today?
I did. You don't think I would have done this thing?
Well, we have to check everybody.
Is there somebody out at the plant that can verify the fact that you were out there during the entire shift today?
Yes, my lead man and I always punch my time card in and out.
How do you get to work?
I drive. My car's right outside there, blue Chevy.
Do you own any firearms?
No, I don't.
You ever owned any?
No, never have. Didn't want a gun around with a boy.
I see.
You live here alone?
No, since the wife and I split up, I live with another fella here.
Mm-hmm. Where is he tonight?
He's out somewhere, usually home when I get here.
Do you have any idea where he might be? Does he go out much?
He goes out quite a bit. He's going with some girl. Might be at a movie or something like that.
Does he know your wife?
Well, not too well, no. I think I took him over to the house one Sunday. He met my son, Charlie, and my wife.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to take.
Yes, sir, we understand.
This man that you live with here, what's his name?
Carl Walters.
Where'd you know him from?
He advertised in the papers. He said he wanted somebody to share a small house with him. I answered the ad, and we seemed to hit it right off from the start. He's okay.
What do you know about him?
I know enough to know he's all right. I wouldn't want to get him mixed up in this.
Well, has this Walters ever been in trouble? Has he ever been arrested?
Not that I know of. He's a good guy. Fine Army record.
I see. Have you ever been arrested?
No, sir, I never have.
Any kind of an arrest? Misdemeanor, anything like that?
Never.
You never been in jail for any reason?
No, sir, never have. I had traffic tickets, but I've never been in jail for any reason. I always paid my fines, never had any trouble.
Have you any idea who might want to do a thing like this?
No, no one. How did it happen? Did they break in the house?
No, it wasn't burglary or anything like that. Somebody just wanted to do away with your wife. If you can think of anybody who might do a thing like this, it'd help.
You know, we've been separated for a while. Maybe she took up with someone who'd do something like this. I wouldn't know. I can't think of anybody I know that'd do this.
I see.
She and I have had our ups and downs, or we wouldn't be apart. We argued time and again over the custody of Charlie, but nothing serious. Can't tell you what a shock this is to me.
You say that you don't own a gun. Do you know of any of your friends or hers that might?
No, I can't think of anybody.
Well, this fellow Carl Walters, what can you tell us about him?
Now, please, he's all right. He certainly had nothing to do with this.
Well, we just want to be sure to check everybody out. If you can tell us, it may save him some embarrassment.
Well, I realize you have to be sure, but please believe me, he's all right.
You say he doesn't know your wife at all?
No, just that one meeting.
You're sure he couldn't have had any part in it?
Absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a fella is he?
Oh, average guy, I guess. Likes to swim, plays a little golf. Always wants me to go out camping or hunting with him.
You ever go with him?
No, I haven't so far. He wants to go on weekends, and I like to see my son on Sundays, like I said.
What does he hunt, do you know?
He's not much of a hunter, really. He just likes to go out for ducks once in a while.
Does he keep his equipment here?
No, he doesn't, over at his father's house.
Does he ever hunt for anything besides ducks?
No, I'm positive about that. He's always saying how he never could shoot a deer. Says he gets buck fever. Can't say I blame him.
He ever tell you what kind of a gun he had?
No, not that I recall. Still think he had a part in this?
We didn't say that.
What's his duck hunting got to do with it?
Well, when you hunt ducks, you use a shotgun.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. And now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under K. Kelly, Nancy Kelly, famous actress. She says,
Between scenes, I like to relax in my dressing room and light up a Fatima. They have a really different flavor, and they're extra mild.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday morning, July 10th, 1 a.m. We continued to question Keith Stevens about the murder of his wife. He could add very little to what he had already told us. We made a thorough search of his house and garage. We searched his car. We found nothing that would incriminate him in any way. 1:37 a.m. Carl Walters, the man who Keith Stevens lived with, returned home. We retraced his steps for the night of July 9th. All his time was accurately accounted for. We talked with his father. We were told that the shotgun had not been used for about 10 months, since last duck season. We looked at the gun and noticed that it was covered with lint and had not been recently fired. We talked to the plant foreman at Gibney Steel Mill. He verified the fact that Keith Stevens worked his full shift on July 9th and did not leave his job until 12 midnight. At this point, both men were clear of any complicity in the murder of Josephine Stevens. Tuesday, July 10th, 8 a.m. We made the usual routine check of R&I of the 4 people involved in the case so far. Josephine Stevens, the murdered woman, her mother, Mrs. James Edwards, the husband, Keith Stevens, and his friend, Carl Walters.
Here it is, Joe. One packet.
Nothing on Josephine Stevens or Miss Edwards.
That's right. And Carl Walters is clean. He kind of makes a liar out of the husband, Keith Stevens. It's his package.
Yeah, I forgot.
Let's see. Keith Stevens. Here's the arrest report, one only.
Let's see. It's 4127A.
Yeah, picked up from drunk charge. He didn't forget, Joe. This was on June 7th last.
Yeah, let me look at that officer statement, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Above suspect was picked up in the company of co-defendant Michael Duff, booking number 8023. Both suspects were drunk and disorderly at time of arrest. Their condition was such they were unable to care for themselves. No, he didn't forget.
Hey, Mary.
Yes, sir?
Pull this package for us, will you, please? Booking number 8023. Give us a mug if he's got one, huh?
What was that arrest date?
June 7th, 51.
Thank you.
That's an outside chance.
He lied once. Maybe he'll lie again.
What do you suppose he was trying to prove by not telling us about this?
Oh.
Here you are.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
That's a little bigger package, huh?
Yeah. Look, his R card. He's done time in Quentin.
Yeah. 1933, grand theft auto. Did 4.5 years, paroled out in 37. Here he is, back in again on suspicion of robbery. 1946, charge released. Picked up again, suspicion of robbery, released again.
Michael Lewis Duff, alias Mickey Duff. Stevens is moving in pretty fast company.
Yeah. Look here, this is the guy, all right. Here's that last drunk arrest. See on we saw on Stevens, June 7th?
Yeah, Is there a mug there, Joe?
Let's see. Well, there's this one on that 211 arrest in 47.
Yeah, I see that one. It's pretty old, though. It's a little worn. Kind of hard to see.
So check that last arrest report on the drunk charge. Maybe we got one of those auto photo strips. That ought to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, here we are.
Let's see. Yeah, those auto photos are good mugs, aren't they?
Yeah.
What address did he give on that last arrest?
5234 West Main. No, all these other addresses are just transient hotels. That Main Street address, the most recent, looks like the best bet.
This is probably why Stevens lied about being arrested.
Yeah, let's see if he lied about anything else. We drove over to 5234 West Main Street. It was a small 2-story rooming house. We checked with the landlady, and she told us that she had a man registered under the name of Michael Duff in room 20. She told us that he had just walked out a few minutes before we arrived, saying he was going down to the corner to buy a newspaper. We identified ourselves and stated that we'd wait in his room for him. We asked her not to tell him. She went upstairs with us and unlocked the door to room 20. We made a thorough search of his place. It was a 2-room apartment. I searched the living room, and Ben went over the kitchen.
Joe, come here.
Yeah.
Look here. Look, I'm up under the sink here, cradled in the gooseneck of the drain.
Yeah, shotgun.
Yep. Just a minute. It's been fired recently.
No.
And this much fits in.
These don't. Found him in the pocket of one of his coats in the closet there.
12-gauge shotgun shells. Where'd you find them?
In the pocket of a dress suit? That doesn't fit, does it?
Not unless he's the best-dressed hunter in town.
Sounds like he's back.
Yeah. Get your hand out of that pocket, police officers.
What's going on?
Keep your hands out and open. Stand still. Here, Joe. You want to take this?
Yeah. What are you doing carrying a gun, Duff?
Anything wrong?
You know better than that. What'd they tell you when they paroled you?
That was a long time ago.
They haven't changed the rules.
I don't know what you're doing here in the first place.
Go on over there and sit down.
All right, if that's what you want.
That's what we want. Move.
Right now, do you want to tell us about it?
About the gun?
About both of them. The shotgun here on the table and this one I got in my hand.
Well, you found that old shotgun, huh?
We found it.
I haven't used that old thing for years. Just kept it as a keepsake. Haven't fired it for a long time. Don't even have any shells for it anymore.
Except these two, huh?
I don't know where those came from.
Look, Duff, you're an ex-convict. We find 2 guns in your possession. Now let's don't play games. Tell us about it.
I haven't got anything to tell you. I would if I did.
I just had a long talk with Keith Stevens.
What'd he have to say?
Never mind what he had to say. Let's hear your side of it.
You wouldn't try to kid me, would you?
Now, you listen, fella. We just came from a house over on Bexell Street. There's a woman lying in bed over there that took a blast from a sawed-off shotgun. You own a shotgun. It's been recently fired. You lied. You said you hadn't fired it. You said you didn't have any shells for it. Well, here they are. Now, look, they fit, don't they? Take a good look at it, mister. There's only one thing missing. Who pulled the trigger?
Let's have it, Duff.
Did Stevens tell you?
We'll ask the questions. Now, come on.
All right. I did it, but I did it for Stevens. Told me he'd give me $1,000 if I kill his wife for him. I haven't been paid yet. I'm still waiting to get paid off.
You won't have to wait any longer.
We took Michael Duff downtown together with a murder weapon. He gave us a full confession stating that Keith Stevens had offered to pay him $1,000 for the murder of his wife. He said that he and Stevens had planned it together. 1:30 p.m., Tuesday, July 10th. We drove out to pick up Keith Stevens.
What else could I do?
Is that how you justify the murder of your wife?
It was her fault. If she'd have just tried to be reasonable, this never would have happened.
People settle these kind of problems every day, and they don't use a shotgun.
You wouldn't understand. Unless you got a son, you'd never really understand why I did it.
I've got a son. I don't understand.
And you don't love him like I do. Couldn't stand the thought of never seeing him, having her take him away from me.
And that's the way you want us to put it down. That you didn't want your child taken away from you, so you killed his mother.
Not exactly. She was going to take him away. She wanted him to forget all about me. She wanted him off for herself.
Did your wife tell you all this?
No, of course not. Any fool could see that's what she had in mind.
You mean just because of some argument that you and your wife had, you just assumed all this to be so?
Sure. I knew she'd never give me a break with Charlie. Isn't that what always happens?
And you never asked her how she felt? Never thought that you could stand on your legal rights? Never knew that what you're trying to make us believe seldom happens unless there's a good reason for it?
Wasn't going to let her take my son away from me. Nobody could do that.
Yes, sir, you're right. You lost him yourself.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I'd like you to be the judge while I present our case for Fatima. Now, you've heard me say that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Get a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other long cigarette. Side by side, I'll admit a Fatima looks the same as any other king-size cigarette. But when you smoke them, you'll find a world of difference. In Fatima, that difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
28, Edward Stevens was convicted of murder in the first degree and received a life sentence. He is now serving his time in the state penitentiary. Michael Lewis Duff was convicted of first-degree murder and received the death sentence. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary.
Dragnet wishes to thank Sheriff Brian Clemens of the parish of East Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, for the appointment of Sergeant Joe Friday and Sergeant Ben Romero as honorary deputy sheriffs. Our sincere thanks to Sheriff Clemens.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. A United States postal inspector comes to your office. You've received the same complaints he has. Somebody is stealing mail in your city. Your job, help get him.
Friends, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette. You'll find a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties. Extra mild, superbly blended. To give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed. To bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 3rd. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Harry Elliott. My name's Freddie. It was 7:45 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Ben. Sure coming down out there.
Yeah.
Look at this coat. It's soaking wet.
Is that the same trench coat, that English one?
Yeah. Ever since I had it cleaned, it seems to soak up the water a little more.
Does it leak?
Oh, no. It just seems to take on a little more water. Keeps me dry.
Got something to show you, Joe.
Yeah?
Remember that old raincoat of mine used to leak up through the seams over the shoulders?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Take a look at this.
What do you got there?
Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, what is it?
A new raincoat. Never know, would you? Small, compact, the whole thing's hardly any bigger than a pack of cigarettes. Not bad, huh?
Yeah. Where'd you get it?
Wife bought it for me. Amy says it's a regular full-size raincoat, size 40 long.
Amy says, so didn't you try it on?
Oh, no, you know how they make something like this. It's made out of plastic, size isn't too important. Just a plain coat. Slips right on over your suit, just like any other raincoat. I know it'll fit.
You haven't worn it yet?
No, it hadn't started to rain when I left home.
Could I see that?
Sure. Real compact, isn't it? Now, something like this is really practical.
Yeah,
Little packages like that, you carry it around with you all the time. Never take up any room at all.
Yeah. What's it look like?
Just like that little pouch there. Same stuff. It's transparent, regular plastic.
Well, could we look at it inside?
Okay, let's see.
Well, here, you better do it.
Yeah, okay. Well, you just unzip it here. Sure is compact, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Look there, Joe. All folded up nice and neat.
Yeah.
Sure is lightweight, too. Plastic's great, isn't it?
Fine, yeah.
There we go. Full-size raincoat. See there? Fits fine. Never know a full-size coat would go in a thing like that little pouch there, would you? It's no bigger than a tobacco pouch.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You ought to try it on, Joe. Never know you had anything on. Sure is light and nice.
Yeah, I can see.
Now we just put it back in the pouch till I'm ready for it. Let's see now. Collar goes up. One folds in like this. No, that isn't right. Goes this way. Let's put it down on the table. That'll be better. Yeah, that's better. Now, here we go. Now, we fold the arms in here. Now, the bottom part comes up this way. Now, we fold it over and again. Easy, isn't it? Just follow the crease marks and you're home, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll hand me that little pouch, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Now, I guess that's too big. Well, we'll make one more fold, guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's small enough this way, but it's too fat, isn't it?
You better watch it there. You're going to tear that little sack.
That's funny. I folded right over the old creases there. Too fat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, couldn't you just carry it in your pocket like that without the pouch?
Sure, that's it. Look at my coat pocket. No, that won't do, Joe. It bulges right out. It's kind of springy. It jumps out, just like a piece of pongee silk.
Yeah, it seems to.
Well, it's still lightweight and easy to handle.
Sure. Plenty easy to carry just like that.
Yeah. Well-made little pouch there. Seems a shame not to be able to use it.
You smoke a pipe?
No, you know that. Just cigarette. Yeah, I'll find some use for it. Probably 100 things a fellow could use a little pouch like this for if he could just think of them right off.
Yeah, that's right.
Righty, Romero, you want to step in here for a minute?
Right, Captain.
You fellows know Inspector Smith, Post Office Department?
Sure, how are you?
Romero?
Good to see you, Leo.
How you doing, Joe? Sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Inspector Smith's over here on that mail thief case that we've been working on.
Oh, yeah. Did you receive those reports we sent over to you yesterday?
No, I haven't been to the office yet. Came straight over here.
Well, Burglar returned it over to us yesterday afternoon. Ben and I ran it down. Seems to us like it might fit in somewhere here.
Miller and Ashton have probably got your reports now. I was just going to call in. You mind filling me in on it?
Apartment house over on Alvarado. Landlady reported a theft of part of a mailbox out there.
Yeah, somebody stole a master panel off the front of the community mailbox at the apartment house. Figure it must have happened sometime during the night.
Oh, yeah, I believe we got something on that, too. A postman on the route reported it.
That's how he's getting into the mailboxes. Steals the front panel, makes a key for himself, and then on, he's in business. Smart guy like we're after could put a key like that to good use. It fit a great many different mailboxes around town.
Yeah, it's the same M.O. We've been on this guy for a long time. He pulled the same thing down in San Diego, was knocking down about $2,000 a month. Then he laid out. Now he's at it again up here in L.A.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, we've been getting reports of the thefts and the passing of the checks about 10 days ago.
Yeah, I know.
We've got 5 checks passed by this same thief, according to handwriting analysis. We know it's the same guy.
Talked to the victims and the bank tellers. Description of the guy seems to tally with what you people have on him.
Yeah.
There's just one thing we haven't been able to piece out yet.
What's that, Joe?
When he steals a check, how does he know what bank to pass it on?
Well, I think we got the answer to that one.
Well, let's say that he steals a letter. We know he doesn't only hit the community mailboxes. Sometimes he goes to a private residence, fishes the letters right out of the mail slots in that case.
Yeah, he's got some kind of a gimmick he gets down in those slots with.
Yeah, that's what we figure, Leo. Well, we'll say after he's got a letter with a check in it. Now, it's easy enough for a good forger to put an endorsement on it, but how does he know what branch of the bank to pass it on?
Well, at some time or other, he's stealing bank statements as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's just lucky. At the time he steals a check, there's other mail in the box, too. The victim's bank statements.
Well, as far as that goes, I suppose he's stolen more than once from the same party. He could probably get away with bank statements easy.
Well, that's it. People never seem to report anything missing in the mails until weeks after it's happened.
It's easy to see why. They're not sure anything's wrong until they wait several days. They don't want to bother us in the case of anything routine like monthly bank statements.
And in the case of a check, well, sometimes it's from a relative or someone who owes them money, and they don't want to embarrass them by writing or calling to find out about it.
Well, I suppose in the case of anything like a dividend check, we got a couple of those, Leo.
Mm-hmm.
The people who lose them just don't think it's time for them to arrive yet, so they just wait, huh?
That's it. And that's why he's been so successful. Plus the fact that it takes about a week for any kind of check to be processed through central clearing at any bank, and then, too, the bank wouldn't necessarily know that anything was wrong at that time.
Until the bank receives a complaint from the party who missed the check, they couldn't have any way of knowing that anything was wrong.
That's right.
Tell them what you were telling me this morning, Leo.
Well, you people aren't in it deep enough to know this yet, but this guy's been hitting the same branch bank maybe 2-3 times in a row.
Not here in L.A., had he?
No, not yet. It looks to us like he's just started up his operations here in town. That's the way he worked it down in San Diego.
Well, it's easy enough to figure. If he got a teller in some bank to go along with him, someone who didn't suspect him, and since the victims reported so late, he could get away with it at least that many times at the same bank, couldn't he?
Yeah. If people report missing mail immediately, to make it a lot tougher for the thief.
That last name on him still good, Harvey Fletcher?
That's what we're going on, yeah.
We've got bulletins out to all the banks carrying that description on him, and he changed earlier.
WMA, average build, 150, 160 pounds, gray eyes, about 32 to 35, well-dressed, carries a briefcase. Likable personality.
That's what we got on him.
Oh, there's a little something we picked up yesterday from a bank teller. She told us the man had long sideburns, for what it's worth. You might add that.
Okay.
Don Myers in handwriting has checked through his files, Leo. They haven't got anything on him. And the stats office hasn't been able to make him on his M.O.
And we know you people are doing everything you can for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish we could do more.
That name, Harvey Fletcher, of the 5 checks that we've got on the guy, according to handwriting analysis on him, he's only used that name once. Rest of the time, he signs the same last name as the payee's name on the face of the check.
He passes himself off as a brother, husband, or some relation to the rightful payee.
Yeah, that's what's taking in all those bank tellers, plus a smooth personality. He's cool, collected, all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, that figures.
Yeah, we got one day before yesterday with a little different twist. Isn't going to help us any, but here's the way he's working it in some cases. He deposits a large check to the victim's account, and then he only takes out a small portion in cash. Throws the tellers off even more.
Here's those photostats, Leo.
What's this?
Copies of the last 5 checks that we got on the guy.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Harry.
Myers says they're all in the same handwriting. Is there anything else we can do for you, Leo? We've got all the banks in the area covered, got bulletins out on them.
Well, that's fine.
Don't think we've overlooked anything. Patrol units have been alerted.
With this latest theft of that mailbox panel, it's too bad we can't localize his operations a little.
Leo, didn't you say that if he makes a key, that key would fit any number of boxes in the city? We couldn't pin him down to one neighborhood, could we?
That's right. That key will work on different mail routes. He probably knows the neighborhood around Alvarado is hot now. He'll leave it alone anyway.
It's impossible to stake him out on the actual thefts of the mail. It's too bad we can't get to him through one of the banks when he cashes them.
Well, your manpower and ours put together couldn't cover all the banks in L.A. at one time, but we've been spot checking throughout the city, hoping maybe to tab him just by luck.
We might get a break from one of our bulletins, maybe some tellers about him.
Well, I'm not sure yet. That's one of the reasons I came over here this morning, but maybe we've got a little something.
What's that?
Well, a bank out in Westwood phoned us yesterday. The teller thought she recognized the guy from his description. Didn't dawn on her till after the guy left her window. She rushed out in time to get the license number of his car.
Well, maybe it's a break, huh?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. The check was drawn on the account of a William E. Scott. And that's the number 2 victim here in L.A.
Yeah, that's right. You've got the photostat of his checks right there.
Yeah, I know. Well, everything seems to fit. This check he passed yesterday out in Westwood was probably stolen at the same time as the first one, or at least it came from this Scott's mailbox. That we know.
Well, didn't this William Scott report the theft of 2 checks? I know he didn't to us. Maybe he did to you.
No, he didn't. Said he couldn't be sure. He gets quite a few checks through the mail. Owns a lot of stock, gets dividends.
Yeah, probably doesn't know when they come each month.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't miss the first one until it was way overdue. Might even be others missing. He doesn't know for sure yet.
Well, anyway, he's positive on this latest one out in Westwood that the bank teller caught, huh?
Sure. As soon as the bank manager called him, he knew he hadn't authorized anybody to cash any of his checks.
Does the M.O. seem to match?
Well, that's what's got us going on it. Looks real good. Smooth operator. Deposited part of the money, took the balance in cash. The major switch in his operation was the fact that he didn't go to the victim's regular bank as he did on that first check.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
And we kind of think so. That's the reason I came over here this morning. Conway, our handwriting man, thinks it's the same as the guy we're after. He asked me to check it through Don Myers to be sure.
What signature did you use on this last one?
Now, that's another part of the M.O. that checks out. You remember on the first check, he forged the victim's name, William Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Then he made it a second-party check by signing the phony name, George Scott, passing himself off as a nephew of the victim.
Pretty smart. He goes to this victim's regular bank, and he doesn't take the chance of being tabbed as the payee. He covers by using that nephew gimmick.
Yeah. This time he goes to a different branch. Not the regular branch that the victim deals with as in the first case. He simply forges the victim's name and lets it go at that.
You doing anything in that license number?
Well, Ashton and Miller checked it out late yesterday afternoon. They're on it now.
Need any help?
Well, not so far. I'm interested in what Don Myers has to say about the handwriting. He ought to be through about now, huh?
I'll give him a call.
Well, thanks, Harry.
Hello, Don. Who's this? This is Elliot. You know if Don's checked that stuff through for Inspector Smith yet? Okay, thanks, Lon. No, that's all right. We'll get through. Don was called out of the office for a minute. That was Sloan. He says he's sure Don's finished with it.
Oh, fine. You say when he'll be back?
He just ducked down to Thad Brown's office for a minute. I'll call down there for you.
Well, that's all right. I'll walk down there myself. I need the exercise.
Okay.
Go on, I'll walk on down with you.
Oh, swell. Let's go.
All right. You fellas will be back here once.
Well, sure, as soon as I check with Myers.
All right.
Which way is it from here? This hall looks the same from one end to the other to me.
It's this way, Leo.
Oh, okay.
This affects you like the federal building does me. I get all turned around up there.
Yeah. Well, those fellas down in San Diego had a rough go on this thing.
Yeah, I was talking to McGuire and Ormsby down there just the other day. They said they were going around in circles on it.
They broke a lot of ground for us. Checked out a lot of suspects, cleared them. Checked out all that stuff that Brereton from CII sent down.
Yeah.
You know how thorough that guy is.
It figures they've done a lot of legwork.
Friday, you say you just talked to him down there?
Yeah, that's right, Leo.
Well, then you know about all those bulletins they got on the guy. Description, exemplars of his handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Sent them to every police department in the United States.
It's a big job.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go get Don. It's right in here.
Thanks, Joe.
Right. Don?
Yeah, Joe.
Leo Smith from the post office department's waiting to see you.
Right, Joe. Just on my way back to the office.
Fine.
Hello, Don.
Sorry, Leo. I had to duck out for a minute.
Oh, that's all right. Say, did you get a chance to look that Scott check over?
Yeah, I did. Got a couple of things to show you back in the office.
Okay, fine.
Was Conway positive on this one?
Well, he said he felt we had the right man, but he wanted your opinion to be absolutely sure.
I couldn't be positive, but I think maybe he's your man. There's a great similarity, but too much pressure on the downstrokes. The ye's, the yo's. Just not too sure. They're a little different than some of the previous samples of the guy's handwriting.
Uh-huh.
I can show you better back at the office. Got a few things for you.
Think there's a possibility, Don?
Well, let me put it this way. I won't say it is, and I won't say it isn't. Let's pick them up and find out for sure. Here we are. Go ahead, fellas.
Thank you.
I've blown those things up here.
Uh-huh.
Call for you, Leo. I'm 3.
Oh, thanks, Harry. Excuse me. The Smith talking. You did? Uh-huh. We did. All right, look, why don't you bring him down to forgery detail here at the City Hall? We'll talk to him here. Right. Right, thanks. Well, looks like the end of the trail. That was Ashton. He and Miller picked him up. He's our man, admitted the forgery.
Looks like San Diego did all the work and we get all the luck.
Anyway, we got him.
You are in the Scientific Investigation Division of a Metropolitan Police Department, the Ballistics Room.
You have just heard a test bullet fired from a .38 caliber revolver found in the possession of a suspect.
The test slug is removed from the ballistics box and compared with the slug found at the scene of the crime.
There they are. Side by side, they look alike. But examination will prove a world of difference.
Now, examine a Fatima. Compare it with any other king-size cigarette. Side by side, they'll look alike. But right away, you'll find there's a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
routine solution of a case, the police officer is always benefited by the legwork of his fellow officers. In this case, the men of the San Diego Police Department, in conjunction with the Post Office Department, had done most of the spade work, and the actual apprehension of the suspect appeared to be almost too easy on our end. Even though Ben and I hadn't participated in the physical arrest of the suspect, we felt the same gratification for the speedy solution of the case as did the postal authorities. Monday, March 3rd, 3:27 p.m., Miller and Ashton of the Post Office Department brought the suspect in for questioning. The prisoner was turned over to Inspector Leo Smith. Ben and I sat in on the interrogation.
Carver Gleason, that's your true name?
Yes, sir, it is.
You say you've never been arrested before?
No, sir, I never have.
Now, you know we're going to check that out.
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's go over it again.
The same way?
That's up to you. We want the truth.
I've told you the truth. You asked me questions about stealing mail, about forging checks. You said I was down in San Diego. Well, it's not true. None of it's true.
Have you ever stolen from the mails?
No, sir, I never have. I know this is a pretty serious offense.
What makes you think forging isn't? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not. I didn't say that, but this was the first time I've ever done anything like this. I didn't even think about the consequences.
Should have thought about them. When's the last time you were in San Diego?
I've never been there. I don't even know for sure where it is.
How long you been in Los Angeles?
About 3 months now.
Where's your home?
Akron, Ohio.
How old did you say you were?
25.
And what have you been doing since you got out here?
Well, it's just it. Nothing. Can't find a job.
Well, how you been getting by? How you been living?
Been staying down at the YMCA. Hope Street, I guess it is.
What have you been doing for money?
Well, my folks gave me a loan when I left Akron. Thought I'd have a job by now. I didn't want to write home for any more, so when I found a check, I figured I could get away with it. I needed money, and I cashed it.
And where'd you say you found it?
Over on, let's street out that way, La Cienega. Is that how you say it?
La Cienega, yeah. Now, what were you doing out there?
Well, I was answering an ad in the classifieds, trying to find a job. I had to park the car down the street from the place, and on my way back, I found this check on the sidewalk right near the bank on the corner.
Where'd you get the car?
It's my father's.
The car's registered in your name with California plates. How do you explain that?
Well, the folks told me when I got to California to go right to the authorities and register the car if I was going to stay so I wouldn't get in any trouble. That's where part of my money went.
You got anything else you want to tell us?
Well, I did it. I admit that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it up somehow. The check was for $57. I gave the men that arrested me 50 of it, and I spent $7.
Yeah, that's all on the record.
I did wrong. I'll pay the $7 back.
Well, you can take that up with the judge, Gleason. Friday, Romero, you want to step outside with me a minute?
Yeah, right.
Gleason, you wait here with that officer.
Yes, sir.
And what do you think?
He's telling the truth. He's not the one we want.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'll go along with Ben.
Well, it makes 3 of us.
Monday, March 3rd, 5 p.m. We went in and checked with Don Myers. In carefully going over exemplars of Carver Gleason's handwriting, he had definitely eliminated him as our suspect. Carver Gleason remained in custody awaiting trial. 3 months went by. During this time, the burglaries and forgeries continued. Suspects were picked up, checked out, and released. We got nowhere. Tuesday, July 12th. We received a communication from Chief Adam Jensen of the San Diego Police Department, who stated he was forwarding a radiogram from Chief John W. Polsine of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Department. The radiogram from Chief Polsine stated that his handwriting man in Milwaukee had identified the suspect's handwriting, as listed in one of the San Diego bulletins, as belonging to Philip E. Holloway. Holloway was arrested 2 years previous on a reckless driving charge. The physical description of the man matched closely with the one that we'd received on the suspect known to us as Harvey Fletcher. They further stated that although he was at one time a resident of Milwaukee, they had nothing further on him. It was just an outside chance, but we decided that in all probability this could be the suspect's true name, Philip E. Holloway. This information was forwarded to the postal authorities. Ben and I started to check through our channels to determine the whereabouts of the suspect, Philip E. Holloway, with a possible alias of Harvey Fletcher.
Yeah, that's it, Joe. Nothing in any of the phone books.
Yeah.
Covered everything I can think of. Our records, sheriff's records, nothing from CII, utility companies.
Yeah, well, maybe Smith found something on him. We haven't got anything here.
Think I'll give him a call, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I'd like to know. That's extension 664.
Yeah, I know. No, 664. Hello, Inspector Smith, please. How's that? Oh, I see. No, that's all right, thank you. He's on his way over here. He left 5 minutes ago.
I sure hope he's got something. Joe, Ben?
Hi, Leo.
Think maybe we ran it down.
Good. How'd you do it? Through the Postal Service?
Yep. Didn't figure, did it?
Well, we didn't think he'd stay put long enough to have a permanent address.
Well, he's been on the move, but we got the last known address on him. Received mail there 2 days ago.
You want to check with Don Myers? He's been working over those exemplars Milwaukee sent us.
I just did. Called him about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, we just got back from R&I.
What do you have to say this time?
Well, he and Conway agree all the way this trip.
Yeah?
Holloway's our man.
Together with the postal authorities, Ben and I helped in the 24-hour surveillance placed on the suspect, Philip E. Holloway. Our findings disclosed that he was living in a modest apartment house, and he was employed by a local vacuum cleaner company as a door-to-door salesman. This type of occupation would enable anyone to have suspicion-free access to any and all types of home mailboxes. The first 3 days of the surveillance failed to disclose any further incriminating evidence. Thursday, July 17th, fifth day of the 24-hour surveillance, 2:30 p.m. Holloway came out of his apartment building, got into his car, and drove approximately 4 miles to the Echo Park residential district. He parked his car, got out, and went up the steps of a small apartment house. Together with Inspector Leo Smith, Ben and I followed him.
You want to pull up here, Ben? This is good.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he's going for that mailbox, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the key. He's opening the panel.
Not a worry in the world. Broad daylight. Look at that.
He's got all the letters out of the box, got them in his pocket. On his way back to his car.
Leo, there's a bank right up there on Sunset, see?
Okay, let's stay with him.
How's it look, Joe? You can see up ahead there. Is he pulling out?
Wait a minute. All right, let's go. Better pull up here, huh?
Now, look at that. Just like it was blueprinted. Going right in the bank.
Come on.
Yeah. Joe, you see him?
There he is. Second window.
Let's get in line right behind him.
All right.
Yes, sir. May I help you?
Yes, I wonder if you can cash a check for me?
Yes, sir. Would you endorse it, please?
Sure. There you are. As you can see, this is one of my mother's checks. I guess I can cash it all right for her.
Do you have any identification?
I'm sorry, I don't. I'll say I have this envelope the check was mailed in. Will that do?
Yes, I think that's all right. How would you like this, sir?
He doesn't want it anyway, miss. Just hold that check for us, please. Postal inspector.
Yes, sir.
I beg your pardon. I believe you're making a mistake here.
No, there's no mistake. Come on, step over here. Shake him down.
I don't understand all this. That key you used over there on Baxter Street, that the one you made from that panel you stole over on Alvarado about 4 months ago? You know about that, huh? Yeah, we do. I did all right for a while, didn't I? That key angle's a pretty good one, isn't it? There isn't a lock in the world I can't make a key for. We got one in mind you might have trouble with.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in United States District Court, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, all of us on Dragnet are convinced that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. We think you'll like them as much as we do. But the only way you can tell is to buy a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other king-size cigarette. Now, side by side, they'll look alike, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima. You'll agree, Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
The suspect, Philip Elwood Holloway, was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 10 years in the federal penitentiary. 5 years of his sentence was suspended, and he was placed on probation, one of the conditions being that he make restitution of the stolen money.
Ladies and gentlemen, accidents of all types kill more persons from 1 to 35 years of age than does any single disease.
America's homes and children can best be kept safe if every father, mother, and child develops the personal responsibility to know and observe home safety rules. Make home safety a family affair. Be careful. The life you save may be your own.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.